And what is up, full-time family? It is time for full-time MMA in the morning. Today is Tuesday, June 12th, 2018.
And what is up, full-time family? It is time for full-time.
Let's mute that so we don't have an echo. Today is, as I was saying, June 12th, 2018, and it's your boy motherfucking MMA Howard Stern. No, MMA Smith. No, okay, anyways, I'm coming up with a new name because DJ Academics is holding the L right now. I don't feel good calling myself MMA Academics until he recovers from this slump, but we're all good. What's up, full-time family? We're going to cover a lot of things in the MMA world going on right now, in the UFC, some stuff going down tonight. Then at the end of the chat, we'll have a few people from the full-time family join if they want to share any of their thoughts on anything we discussed. But with that being said, I don't even think I'm going to play like those songs in the beginning, because I noticed like yesterday, we started off and we had like 20 people immediately. We ran the song, we give people time to come in here, and we went down to like 15. So until we can get a better like opening song where I can get, the bells and whistles of this shit really going, we're just going to jump right into the MMA topic. So with that being said, what's up to Dan 24 ounce? See you in the comments, brother. Not too much, just about to get this day started. So the first topic we got is Greg Hardy, former NFL star, who's going to be fighting in Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series tonight. That joint starts tonight. Who would have thought, man? Already here, Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series. I'm actually a big fan of the show. I watched the first season last year. That's where we got like Sean O'Malley, Benito Lopez, just two of the names off the top of my head. Those are just two of the names off the top of my head that stick out. But I watched the entire season except for, I believe, like the very last episode. But on this season, there's already a couple big names slated to come out on Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series. We got Greg Hardy. We got Nick Newell. We got, what's her name? Valentina Shevchenko's sister, Antonia Shevchenko. She's going to be on Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series this season. So there's actually some pretty big names sliding through. And one of the first on the list is Greg Hardy. Now, Greg Hardy's name brings some controversy to the MMA world because when he was released from the NFL, I believe it was due to some domestic violence situation he had with his girlfriend at the time, but she never really showed up to court, so he never actually got charged, but he still gets a really bad rap, as like a woman beater, essentially. Even though he was never charged, people are like, yeah, bro, you fucking did it. So you have people that speak out against him potentially going anywhere. Like, he's a guy that people really speak out against. There's other people that have had probably domestic violence issues in their past that, maybe even were convicted, and I don't know, for some reason when Greg Hardy comes around, like, that shit really is like a black eye on him. And it's just interesting to me because I've never really seen, like, I seen that he wasn't convicted. The chick didn't show up. And I know that doesn't mean he's innocent for sure. Hell, he's probably still guilty for all I know. But what I'm saying is, normally if the victim doesn't show up to court and you're not charged or whatever, for whatever reason, people kind of give you a pass because you weren't charged. But that's not the case with Greg Hardy, as when he first showed interest in coming to MMA, there were people that spoke out against him, like, yo, I'm going to look like and I don't know why, there were probably other people, but one of the names that sticks out was Jay Glazer. And I knew him from NFL. I think he's also an MMA coach. I don't know what else, trainer and stuff like that. But he's one of the guys that spoke out and said, yo, people should not welcome Greg Hardy in their gyms. The UFC shouldn't give him an opportunity and stuff like that, due to his history. And I hear you on that, but my thought is, hey, man, what about a second chance, Does he get a second chance? Is there something before this first case that I don't know about, like why everybody hates him so much or whatnot? And then another topic that has came up recently, thank you, RJ's Gaming Channel, was Nick Diaz. Nick Diaz out here beating bitches. No, I'm just kidding. That's a joke. Nick Diaz just had his domestic battery incident with allegedly the crazy stalker chick, right? But allegedly when the cops showed up, she was in pain. She had a hip injury. She allegedly been strangled. You know what I'm saying? As far as held down. So that's, what I'm saying? That's an interesting subject. That's somebody that's already established in the MMA world that's now facing some domestic violence, domestic battery issues. compared to Greg Hardy, somebody that's new to the MMA world, bringing that stuff over here essentially, but he was never charged, right? So it's a weird situation. It'll be interesting to see how. But that's just a line people don't cross. Some people feel like no matter what, men and women are not equal type shit. Like fucking no equal rights with equal lefts. And growing up, that it was the mentality, right? No matter what, it doesn't matter if a bitch throws a glass at your head right beside it, cuts it, none of that. If a female, you know what? I'm just taking it a little too far. So if a female would have fucking beat Nick Diaz up, I don't think it'd be the same, hype, right? It's just that's the way it is, man. If a man puts his hand on a female, it's automatically looked down upon. You're not supposed to do that shit, right? And that's so. With that being said, some people are not going to give Greg Hardy that chance, and I understand that because, yeah, and this is my opinion. In 95% of the time, that's true. You know what I'm saying? 95% of the time, that's true. A man shouldn't put his hand on a woman. But there's that 5% of the time, and it also depends. Like if you're a fucking trained fighter, right? Or even if you're just a fucking a gym head, right? That's in the NFL. Who knows what they're doing? I don't know if they got USADA, but I mean, if you're just a big ass dude, you probably shouldn't be. If you're defending yourself, there's things you can do, right? You don't have to break a bitch's hip out here. Defend yourself, restrain the chick, leave her alone, boom, boom. But if you know how that goes. Even if you're defending yourself and the cops get called out, she's got marks on her, you could get in trouble for that situation. And you're going to look bad either way if you get arrested for domestic battery and stuff like that. So really weird situation. But the question is then, do you get a second chance? Because that's what we're looking at here with Greg Hardy. Greg Hardy's a guy from the NFL. He brings popularity. He brings stardom to the sport. He's a heavyweight. He's actually got a chance, low-key. I mean, he's also got a chance of getting fucked up out here. I would love to see Greg Hardy versus Derek Lewis. I mean, I think, because Derek Lewis is a guy that speaks out against domestic violence. When he knocked out Travis Brown, he had no remorse. Like, yo, he likes to put his hands on women. Boom, boom, boom. Like right in the octagon afterwards. So, I mean, that would be crazy seeing Travis Brown versus Greg Hardy. And just for that reason. But at the same time, as far as a second chance is concerned, my thoughts are, what do you guys think? Do you think Greg Hardy should be given a shot in the UFC if he has a very impressive performance on Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series? Because on Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series, everybody does not get a contract that fights. Like, I'll show you the lineup for tonight right here. There's 5 fights on the night. There's only 1 or 2 contracts given out each night. A lot of the times there's only 1. So all 5 of these fights tonight, whoever has the most spectacular performance will get a UFC contract. Whether that comes in the fashion of a crazy KO or just a fight of the night type performance, a spectacular submission, whoever has the most spectacular performance will get the contract. Now, if Greg Hardy comes out here, blows up Austin Lane, it'd be crazy if you put him on the Tuesday Night Contender Series and then hold him back, right? Like he gets a fucking 10-second KO, looks amazing, best fight of the night, and then like, yeah, but we just don't feel like giving you this contract. But that's a real potential, but I don't know if that's gonna happen. Honestly, and it's interesting to me how this Nick Diaz situation plays out as well, because now we've got like an established UFC star in Nick Diaz who's having these issues. So we don't have all the details in the Nick Diaz case. I don't know if everybody has them all in the Hardy case either. And Hardy actually wasn't convicted, so we'll see what happens with that. But it'd be interesting if I'm definitely. I'll tell you this: I don't know what's going to happen after tonight. I don't know if Greg Hardy's ever going to make it to the UFC. Hell, maybe he fights here tonight, doesn't make it, and goes to fucking Bellator for all we know. But I'll tell you this much, man: I am interested in seeing the fight, and it's kind of like a Colby Covington situation. Even if you're a person that doesn't want to hear the details, you don't want to believe anything except for this guy's a fucking straight savage woman beater. Even if that's what you want to fucking believe, you don't want to give him the benefit of the doubt. You don't want to look into it, all of that. Even if that's what you believe, you might tune in and watch him get knocked out, right? So that's always a possibility as well. So I'll be watching Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series tonight. I know that it'd be but it's going to be interesting to see what happens, who gets the contract. Maybe he comes on there and fucking has a bad performance and doesn't look good. I see my boy Arpit Singh in the building, forward thinking in the building. What's up, full-time fam? Jacob De La Cruz said, we're talking about MMA, not fucking politics. Let's the dude fight. What's cracking, full-time? Not too much. I hear you too, man, on that. MMA, not politics. Like, you know, and this is like MMA. It's not like we're fucking on here who's going to be like the next president, right? This isn't like politics, right? Like, you're trying to hop in a cage. And that's another good point. This could be good for somebody like that. If let's say there's somebody with anger issues and they have had a domestic violence incident in the past because they couldn't control whatever the reason was. If they had a reason, and I'm not saying any reason is a good reason, but I'm saying what if this motherfucker's got anger issues, snapped, boom, who knows what the fuck happened? We weren't there. But if you are somebody with these type of issues, what do most people say about, like, you know, people that put their hands on women? Oh, you're pussy. You would never do that to a man. Boo, you fight somebody your own size. Right? This is what's going on here, right? Now, I will say this. Whew. If you're a fucking woman beater and then you start training professional fighting, mixed martial arts, that could be a dangerous combination. I don't know. That don't sound good, right? Giving somebody that might put their hands on women the skills to fucking beat up anybody. I don't know. But on the flip side, though, I don't think that no one's going to, like, take their skills and fucking give a chick, you know, a Kimura, like, breaker. I don't think, like, you know what I'm saying? Even with the Nick Diaz situation, like, people who train mixed martial arts, they also are, you know, a lot of the times respectable people. They also are disciplined. And you should, so with that being said, that's more of just like a worst case scenario thing. But what I'll say is this: somebody with anger issues, like anger management, a good place for you to be might be in MMA training, getting your fucking aggression out inside the octagon. You know, if you're a fucking football player, you don't have a chance to do that unless you're like training in your spare time. You know, you're training football, you're playing football, going home and living life. You ain't ever getting to really fucking play by play. You might get to crack somebody. But MMA might be a legitimate form of therapy in the sense of you get to release aggression. You're actually in there fighting other fucking dudes. You know, people ain't got to worry about you fighting your chick because you probably worn out from fighting all fucking day in the gym. You probably got a fight coming up. You ain't trying to lose. You know, you got an opportunity. You ain't trying to lose. So even if you are somebody that had anger management issues in the past, MMA might be a good place for you. And then as I said, if you fucking think that this is a terrible idea and you hate the guy like you hate Kobe Covington or some shit, then tune in to watch him lose. Fucking start begging for the Derek Lewis versus Greg Hardy match because he's already in the Contender Series. So we'll see what happens. RJ's Gaming Channel said, I love you full time, no homo. I love you more, no homo. Back. But so yeah, that's interesting. We'll see what Greg Hardy had to say, though. He's explaining why people should give him a chance despite his domestic violence history. He says, well, because Nick Diaz just beat a bitch. No, I'm just kidding. That was completely a joke. That was a joke. Jokes. Greg, this is what he had to say. Get to know me first. Meet me would be a good start. Talk to me and give me the opportunity that you would give anybody else. That joke might have been a little too soon. Look forward to watching me on TV. Come out and enjoy the event. Whether it's to see me get beat up or to see me excel, and then make a decision. Or make your point, and I'll respect it as a human being. That's honestly where I have to come from on any platform these days because it's the reality that I have to live in. There's going to be some people that, you know, look at you no matter what you say, no matter what you do, they're going to look at you as a fucking woman-beaten animal. That's a fact. There's so, you know, even if that's not the case, even if that's not the details, even if they don't know what made you snap, a lot of people don't fucking care. You know, you make a mistake and it's over for you. A lot of people don't care about the details. And I'm not one of those people, man. And it might not always be right. You probably give bad people a second chance sometime when you do that. But I don't know. That's just like how I'm not a person that's like, oh, what? I heard that this guy hit a woman. I don't know the details. I don't know what she did, even though that doesn't make it okay. I still like to know all the fucking details. I don't know. Was he inebriated? Was he what? I don't know what happened. Did his fucking mom and dad just die in a car crash and he comes home to find you ripping up the photo album? I'm just saying there's shit that could, you know what I'm saying? I just like to hear the details before I fucking write somebody off. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I know the details and I know you were just an asshole and you were at a party and you came home with your other girlfriend and your main girl got mad, so you decided to fucking hit your main girl because your side girl's home, like that, like, you know, there's some whole shit that can happen. There's some bullshit that can happen. But at the same time, I also know motherfuckers get put in weird ass situations at the wrong time. I don't know who it was, Bill Burr, some comedian, Joe Rogan, maybe. You don't know if a motherfucker's out here walking around on 9. 10 is their breaking point. He could have had a terrible motherfucking day on top of this, and that doesn't make it okay, but it might make it happen. And you know what I'm saying? So I'm just not the type of guy to fucking just look at face value and just write somebody off as a human piece of shit. But I know there are some people like that, and he said he knows he's got to deal with that. There's gonna be people you run into like that. You know, they as soon as they meet you, they got the fucking scowl on, like, oh, look at this. I don't want to even fucking, you know, like, ugh. But he continued. I'm unafraid to talk about it. I don't know if everybody's familiar with my history, but I've never been afraid to talk or be in the spotlight. This is what I do. This is who I am. I'm born to compete. I was born to be here. I put in the hard work. I work harder than everybody else. And I try to just put my best foot forward and do it for my team and do it for everybody that helped me get here. Honestly, it's just a burden that comes with it. Who I am, who am I to question the fans? These are the people that want to pay my salary. So they have the right to have opinions. They have the right to be who they are. Me being biased toward those people would be me being exactly who they think I am. And honestly, that's not who I am. There's a whole lot of levels of understanding when you don't know a person, when you don't know any of the facts. But I do understand people have their own opinions. And if you don't respect people's opinions, then that's just Hitler-esque. Oh, shit, dropping the Hitler-esque. So, yeah, man. Seems like he's, you know, pretty cerebral about what's going on. He realizes there's going to be some people that fucking automatically hate him. But, hey, he also realizes, well, if you don't like me, tune in to see me lose. You know what I'm saying? We got RJ's Gaming Channel in here. He said, you always got jokes. I know, man. I think that might get me in trouble in the future. Like, that's just my personality, bro. Like, trolley type jokes. Like, I'll just say it like it's actual, and then I'll come right back and say, no, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But, like, that's literally how I do in fucking real life, too. Like, people don't ever know when I'm serious or when I'm joking, and they automatically just assume I'm joking because I'm always joking. But, hey, man, it is what it is. What happens when you're a fucking aspiring wannabe comedian? But, you've got to go through the steps, and you've got to put in the work. In my former profession, that's how you gain respect. You take your steps. You don't skip through and try to go straight up to the top. That's just disrespectful. I want to come in and I want to show the fighters and the institution that I'm here to earn it and work my way up. I'm not here to say my name is Greg Hardy and I deserve a shot. I'm not trying to CM Punk my way into a situation. I don't think I should be there because of my name. I want people to know that I should be there because I've seen the fights. I've seen the product, and there is no guessing game. I'm here because Dana White is an angel, a saint, and gave me the opportunity to come put my best foot forward. I honestly couldn't begin to explain why. I can only just express my appreciation and my gratitude for the opportunity to be here and show what kind of athlete I am. Yo, Dana White, low-key, is coming through and looking like an angel and a saint with this Contender Series. No, I'm saying that because I heard him talking about, you know, giving Nick Newell an opportunity. Dana White's a guy that's kind of been against giving. He said, yo, full time I looked up MMA Trolls channel garbage. I know, bro. Tell me about it. But Dana White's a guy that's kind of been against giving Nick Newell. And if you don't know who Nick Newell is, he's the fighter that's got like one arm, right? But he's still like only lost one time. He might be like 15-1 or something with one arm. He was fighting in the World Series of Fighting, but now he's getting an opportunity on Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series. But Dana White was against it in the past, signing him to the UFC. And honestly, I kind of get it, man. I mean, you don't want to shut anybody's dream down and deny anybody their dream, and that's actually why Dana White said he's going to give him the opportunity. He met him face to face, and so he's like, "Listen, man, I could tell this is what he's been dreaming for. It was kind of hard to tell him no." And he said, so that was the best thing he could have done was come to meet me face to face because Dana White was against it. He met him face to face, and he said, so you know what? Now I'm doing it for him. I'm not doing it for the UFC. I'm not doing it for the Contender Series. I'm doing this for Nick Newell. I'm giving Nick Newell this opportunity. And same, it looks like it might be a little bit of the same with Greg Hardy. You know, Dana White's doing it out of the good of his heart. So, fucking hashtag peace Dana. But with that being said, this is interesting. What do you guys think about Greg Hardy? He's going to be taking Austin Lane, facing Austin Lane's also a former NFL defensive lineman. I didn't know that. Austin Lane, he played for the Bears, I believe, though. So this is going to be like two former pro football players going at it in Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series. The difference is Greg Hardy brings a little bit of controversy with him. Forward Thinking said Nick Newell is one savage SOB, been choking dudes out with one arm. Yeah, man, he's been over there fucking shit up. So it's going to be interesting to see how he looks in Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series. And then if he gets the contract, we really got an interesting scenario on our hands. Like, that's going to be crazy. Best by far said minus ZZZ, negative ZZZ. I mean, I'm going to take that means the opposite of asleep, which means like this shit is lit as fuck. That's dope to hear. No, but here's the card for Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series. We've got Kevin Holland versus Wolf Santiago, first fight of the night. Looks like it's going to be a middleweight showdown. Montel Jackson versus Rico Desquilio. This is a bantamweight scrap. Greg Hardy versus Austin Lane, a heavyweight scrap. I'm going to be watching this tonight. Cannot wait. Chris Curtis versus Sean Lally. These guys look like some interesting characters. Fighting at welterweight. That's going to look like it could potentially be a good fight. Chris, the Action Man Curtis. Sean, the unpredictable one, Lally. And then the main event, Alonzo Manfield versus Deshaun Boatwright. Buck, the 400-pound silverback. We got a couple interesting beards coming up in the main event and co-main event, that's for sure. These guys are fighting at 205. So we got like a 135 fight, a 170, 185, 205, and heavyweight. I'm going to be watching the card, though. We'll check it out. Let's move on to the next situation here we have. I don't know what's going on, man. This isn't the only person accusing somebody of greasing at UFC 225. Yo, and both the people being accused of greasing are Brazilian. Now, I don't want to be that guy, but I've seen a lot of people saying Colby Covington's not a racist. He's a realist. And this might go to Colby Covington's point. No, I'm just kidding. But, yo, literally, did the Brazilians bring the Vaseline through? Did they have it on deck? I don't know what's going on here. I'll just give you guys the details and let you be the judge. Carla Esparza is accusing Claudia Gadelha of greasing at UFC 225. And this comes after Colby Covington accused RDA of greasing at UFC 225. So were Claudia Gadelha and Rafael Dos Anjos greasing at UFC 225? Or are these just accusations from their opponents who don't like them? Carla Esparza actually and Claudia Gadelha had a little bit of a heated rivalry coming into UFC 225. And actually, Carla Esparza was a huge underdog coming into the fight. But she looked amazing, and a lot of people felt like she actually got robbed by when all was said and done. Felt like she came through and fucked around and earned a decision over one of the best female strawweights in the world in Claudia Gadelha. But now, after the fact, Carla Esparza lost via split decision, and she's coming out and saying she cheated in the fight. This is what Carla Esparza had to say. She cheated in the fight. She greased before the fight. I was considering saying something to the referee in between rounds. I was going to say she's greasing, but I didn't really know how to go about it. Watching the fight only made Esparza more confident in her accusation. It's pretty shady to me. I rewatched the fight and my hands were slipping right off. Even when I was trying to grab arm bars. During my fight, my arms kept slipping down. She's a cheater. But it really doesn't surprise me, in my opinion. She's been a pretty dirty fighter throughout, so it is what it is. I felt that I won anyway. I felt things could have been more dominant on my side had she not greased. Claudia, you're a cheater. Straight up. It's not cool. It is what it is, but it's done with. Fighting a wrestler, I can see why someone would want to do something like that. I've been working on a pretty solid arm bar, and I felt like I had it set up a couple times in the fight, higher on the arm. But every time my arm just slipped down. I do remember Carla Esparza kept trying to go for them arm bars and wasn't able to lock it up. But, I mean, clearly we're not going to know greasing from watching. You're going to have to know and alert the ref during the fight. You know, for us, it's just looking like he couldn't quite lock it up. She said at the end of the second round, I was going to say something to the ref, but I didn't, and I kind of regret that. I don't know how I would have gone about that. I've never been in that situation before, but I do regret not telling the referees. I don't know if it would have made a difference. Maybe they could have toweled her off, but I really don't know. I've heard people doing this over the years, but I never actually experienced it before. Yo, I might low-key have to go back and watch UFC 225. I wonder, because it's going to be hard just off the top of your head, but it's just interesting. Normally, I might just say, all right, and look past it, like, because that's what I did with the Colby Covington situation. Like, Colby Covington won the fight, and now he's still coming out and saying RDA was greasing. What the hell is really going on? But Colby Covington, if you recall, did say he had a body lock a couple of times. Let's see if we can get that article up. Colby Covington says RDA was greasing. Accuses him of cheating in their UFC 225 bout. This is what Colby Covington had to say. I was going to take him down and beat him up, but my takedowns weren't as effective as he was definitely greasing. He was 100% greased. Usually when I get those body locks behind you, there's no way to slip out, but I could just feel him slip out, He's just another filthy animal, cheater, greaser. I think before the fight, he was putting on the coconut butter, whatever they do, and then the baby oil. What the fuck? This guy, he was definitely doing it. I think he put on the coconut butter and then the baby oil, like one after the other. Holy shit, you had to be greasy as fuck if you got the coconut butter and the baby oil on. He said, I tried a couple of shots on his legs, and they literally made my hand slip from the top of his leg, and he was able to slither on through. What the fuck? Yo, Colby Covington is always funny when he's saying shit like that. But I'm just bringing this up because whenever I saw Colby Covington saying this, I was like, all right, get the fuck out of here. I didn't even give it a second thought. And then now, with Carla coming out and saying Claudia was greasing, now I'm in a little fucking bit of a pickle. Because you know what I'm saying? Now you got two fighters accusing two fighters, and both of the fighters just happen to be Brazilian fighters that were allegedly accused of greasing. So you got to wonder, was there like a Brazilian coach back there that had the coconut butter baby oil mix? Coconut butter and baby oil. I think he meant cocoa butter, but either way, coconut butter and then the baby oil. Like, could you imagine how slippery you would be if you were head to toe in cocoa butter and then you fucking lathered up in the baby oil? Just the baby oil. Fuck the cocoa butter. But if you put both of them, oh my lord, this is just an interesting situation. Leon Dubson said yes full time. What's up, Leon Dubson in the building? Forward thinking said, so ranked in order which fighter came the best and which fighters took the biggest L. Mike Jackson was greasing too. Only reason Punk couldn't get the takedowns. Maybe you were onto something there, forward thinking. I like that. Yo, so this is interesting. I mean, I just wanted to point that out. There are two fighters accusing two other fighters of greasing at UFC 225, and both of the accused just so happen to be Brazilian. That could be a complete coincidence for sure, but it's interesting. Claudia Gadelha and Rafael Dos Anjos both being accused of greasing. I mean, but to be fair, clearly the grease ain't doing too much if that was the case, because both of them arguably lost their fights. Carla Esparza looked great against Claudia Gadelha, even though she lost split decision. Some people thought she had the fight won, and for being that big of an underdog, hell, that's still a W. I mean, she came out looking pretty good. So Colby Covington also came out with the W himself. So maybe this is water under the bridge. Just interesting. Just interesting. Let's move on to the next topic. This is another one. Whoa, Brad Tavares. You might want to be careful if you don't want to be Bellator Tavares, dog. Do not call fake news on Dana White. If Dana White says something about you, just say, oh, I didn't know that. I guess it's true, right? I don't know what's going on here because Dana White recently came out, and I literally listened to him in the interview. Like, has anyone said this yet? Oh, yeah. Like, Brad Tavares broke his foot or his hand this morning. He's out of the fight with Israel Adesanya. Well, Brad Tavares has came out and said that the fight is still on. So it's interesting to see what he has to say. But Dana White was under the impression that he was injured and out of the fight. However, this is what he says. As of right now, this was Brad Tavares. As it stands right now, the fight with Israel is 100% on. As far as I go and it goes, it was never in question. It was just a lot of miscommunication and misinformation between some officials and some medical personnel. At no point did I ever say I couldn't fight or I didn't intend to fight or anything like that again. Fight's still on. I'm ready. I'm ready to go out there and represent myself in Team Hawaii. So maybe he had a little bit of a hand injury or a foot injury. Let's see if we can see if Dana White said hand or foot. Just last week, announced Brad Tavares was out of his main event with Israel Adesanya. Okay, it doesn't say right here. So, yeah, just last week, Dana White announced that the fight was off. Now Brad Tavares is saying it's actually on. You know, maybe some miscommunication. Maybe I told him like I hurt my hand and they told them that I broke it, but I'm still good. So regardless, it looks like Brad Tavares says he's still healthy enough to fight, which I guess we'll just take his word for it right now, because if his hand was broken, he'd probably come out and say, yeah, sorry, guys, my shit's broke. I can't fight, you know, like Dana White said. But as of right now, to his knowledge, the fight's still on. So I'll keep you guys updated with that. A little interesting. Dana White was under the impression that Brad Tavares had a leg or a broken foot. Either a broken foot or a broken hand. But despite those claims, Brad Tavares says the fight's still on. All I'll say is if Dana White comes out here and doubles down on this, if Dana White comes out here and says, no, Brad, your fucking hand is broke, bro. Remember, don't come out here and refute that shit. That's all I'm saying. Be careful. Like, make sure it came from somebody not named Dana White if you want your job. And that's a little bit of a joke, but it's also a little bit serious. Because you do not want to be that guy calling fake news on Dana White. Now, Colby Covington, who is best friends with Jorge Masvidal, also teammates with Yoel Romero, is giving his scorecard for the super epic Robert Whittaker versus Yoel Romero fight of the year contender for sure. And this is what Colby Covington had to say about the main event of UFC 225. He dropped Whittaker multiple times. He had Whittaker in danger multiple times, but I don't know. I don't know what the judges are thinking. That's what sucks about our judging system. You just never know what's going to happen when you leave it in the judges' hands. I was sitting backstage, sitting next to Megan O'Leary, and she was like, oh, how do you think it'll be scored? How'd you score it? Honestly, I think it's going to be a draw. There's got to be a 10-8 round in there for Yoel. He dropped him so many times, but Whittaker had a lot more significant strikes, and the strike count was on Whittaker's side. So it was a really evenly matched fight, and those are definitely the two best middleweights in the world. So I'd love to see them throw down again. Both fights were super epic fights, and I'm sure the fans want to see it again too. So with that being said, Colby Covington had it, if not a draw, then it was a really close fight. But he thought maybe his boy Yoel Romero might have had it edged out, but you can't leave it in the hand of the judges. And you could also imagine Colby Covington might be a little biased. But hey, it's surprising to at least see him giving fucking Robert Whittaker props, you know, instead of fucking throwing shade and shitting on everybody that's not one of his best friends, which is Colby Covington's normal, you know, Steez. He said, what fight is this? He's talking about his potential fight with Robert Whittaker. If you recall, before Robert Whittaker fought Yoel Romero, Colby Covington said, shoot, I might have to move up and knock Bobby Knuckles out after this. You know what I'm saying? And he said, I'm definitely looking at that fight. If that's a big money fight, that's going to draw, that's the fight I'm looking at. His style matches up perfect for me. He won't stand with my pace. Trust me. I train with middleweights. I train with light heavyweights. And they all say the same thing. My pace is just too much. My cardio, my lungs are just way too much for anybody. And that's definitely the fight I'm looking at in the near future. So potentially after Nerd Bash 2018 in the welterweight division, he'll be moving up to middleweight and smashing those nerds up there. And what's interesting is actually Robert Whittaker plays League of Legends. So it might actually be Nerd Bash 2018 when Colby Covington moves up. It'll be interesting. We got John Jones coming out on Twitter. John Jones, suspended currently. Hopefully we'll be hearing an update soon. John Jones, former light heavyweight champion, also still considered the greatest fighter of all time by many people. You know, he can't really be active in the octagon, so we're lucky when he is active on Twitter because we get to hear a little bit from the GOAT. But John Jones, when he was on Twitter, I believe yesterday, spoke with a few fans, responded to a few fans, and hinted at a potential fight with Brock Lesnar and other super fights at heavyweight. But he did say that he was not really interested in a permanent move to heavyweight. He said he makes 205 just too easy. So we'll go through some of John Jones's tweets. He said that he's taken absolutely zero damage in his time off, so he should be able to return quick after he gets cleared. Because also he says he's just been adding more tools, not taking any damage. So you could expect John Jones to be even more dangerous when he comes back. John Jones said he doesn't underestimate Brock Lesnar. The dude's been whooping ass his whole life. He's just facing a different animal this time. That's all. Talking about a potential fight with Brock Lesnar. He said that his brother, John Jones's brother, weighed 275 pounds all throughout high school. So he's been dealing with much bigger guys his whole life, because that's one of my concerns. Brock Lesnar is a white boy and he is jacked. Motherfucking, you gotta be careful. He's like a big motherfucking a white super Samoan. I don't know why that comes to my mind when I think of Brock Lesnar. I just think like super something. He's a fucking super something. He's a big ass dude, bro. If he gets on top of you and starts wrestling you and you're a light heavyweight, it just seems like bad news. But John Jones is like, I've been fucking wrestling big ass dudes my whole life. My brother's been a big motherfucker. And he had one more tweet. He said, that's what would make the fight interesting, the unknown. Actually, he had one more after that, but he's saying the unknown of the fight. How would the greatest skills of all time match up against one of the biggest fighters of all time on some David versus Goliath shit? That's part of the reason that makes people so interested in the fight. But this is where he talks about his potential move to heavyweight. He said, honestly, I don't think I'm ever going to officially move to heavyweight. I make 205 way too easily, and I'll start picking off super fights, though. Heavyweights take way too much damage. So, and that's interesting, because it's true, those heavyweights, they're swinging the hardest. So you get hit with the heavyweight. Francis Ngannou uppercut's probably going to do a little more damage than somebody else hitting you with the uppercut in a smaller division. But the heavyweights, they're also dealing with the fucking. I seen a meme on Twitter after Yoel Romero missed weight, and it pointed out something interesting in the heavyweight division that I was about to talk about. In the heavyweight division, you can weigh anywhere from fucking 225 to 265. Like there's a wide range of weight you can weigh in and be considered a heavyweight. For all these other divisions, there's like 10 pounds, 15, 20 at most. So somebody was like, fucking Yoel Romero outweighs Robert Whittaker by 0.2 pounds. The world's crazy. Oh, it's not a title fight. Fucking Tai Tuivasa comes in and weighs 12 pounds over Andrei Arlovsky. We just go about our day, So, and the heavyweight, you can have a heavyweight that weighs 12 pounds over the other heavyweight. And, you throw more of a fit about a guy weighing 0.2 over Robert Whittaker, right? And it's just because he technically missed weight. At heavyweight, you got such a range. You can weigh 12 pounds over your opponent and you're not missing weight. So it was just a funny thing. But yeah, man, that is something about the heavyweights. They probably do take a lot of damage, especially if they're getting clipped. But if you go up there as the light heavyweight, maybe you can enter the motherfucking matrix and use your speed. You are the greatest of all time, and avoid being fucked up, or maybe keep them in distance with an oblique kick or some crazy shit, or finish them before they crunch your ass like a can. You know what I'm saying? So still be interesting when you throw one of the greatest fighters of all time in there, but it doesn't look like John Jones is interested in a permanent move to heavyweight. But he did say he's also last week now he talked about boxing. He said, I'm still pretty new to the sport of boxing, but I never doubt myself. You never know what God has in store for me. So pretty much if the bag is right, I would assume like, oh, you guys want me to fucking box Deontay Wilder? Yeah, I might get my ass kicked, but if you're going to pay me $100 million, I might just have to go test my fucking skills. So yeah, there was a little update from John Jones. Forward thinking said Machida versus Stylebender would be an amazing striking exhibition. That would be a good fight. That could potentially be like Darren Till versus Stephen Wonderboy Thompson at middleweight. But yeah, that would be a striking exhibition for sure. That would be like, what is Israel Adesanya? Is he more kickboxing? What's striking class does he more consider? Is it Muay Thai? Is it kickboxing? What is his striking pedigree exactly? Because it would be whatever that is versus Lyoto Machida's karate style. But yeah, that reminds me of Darren Till versus Wonderboy Thompson for sure. Jacob De La Cruz said, Ngannou's uppercut is a career ender. You just saw Alex Rovering came back, but man, he got the worst end of Curtis's razor blades. Let's see what we got next. We got Ally Quinta erupting on Dana White. Holy smokes, did Ally Quinta vent on Ariel Helwani's show. He was coming with that heat, too. Ally Quinta is a guy that does not fuck around with the fuck around. He speaks what's on his mind. He ain't playing that motherfucking the UFC is ruling this shit with the iron fist. He's not scared of the repercussions from the UFC. He ain't worried about getting Yair Rodriguez. Motherfucker, I will go sell a house to your motherfucking spouse. Are you kidding me? I am the real estate agent of the people, Ally Quinta. I don't need this gig. So when I see some bullshit, I'm calling it out. You gotta respect that from Ally Quinta. But at the same time, I don't know how it's going to work out for him. Maybe Ally Quinta can come out and be the guy that causes the change. But I don't know. I don't know, man. It's refreshing to hear somebody speak like this. But, you know, at the same time, when you hear the other side of it, as far as his contract negotiations, you're kind of like, okay, this is a business, boom, boom. But as far as everything he had to say about the early weigh-ins, I appreciate it. Now, when we get into the Justin Gaethje fight conversation, I don't know about those negotiations. I don't know who's the cause of the holdup in that situation because to my knowledge, it seems like literally everybody is on board. The fans want to see Gaethje versus Iaquinta. Iaquinta says he wants to fight Gaethje. Gaethje's telling him sign the contract. But then at the same time, we're getting conflicting reports because we've also heard like Gaethje and Dana White say that Iaquinta's out of the fight. So it's really weird. What the fuck is going on with that situation? But it seems like Ally Quinta, I could imagine, is probably just doing an Ally Quinta, right? Probably trying to renegotiate a little bit. He's done this in the past. He's talked about this on Ariel Helwani's show, renegotiating and getting the deal he wanted. Hey, I'm pretty much on a one-fight deal now. You know, if I don't like my next fight, I probably won't take it. Right now, I'm fighting this fight at UFC 223. You know, he's a guy that's able to kind of, Ally Quinta's got leverage. However he has it, I don't know if it's because his job, his real estate gig, or if it's just because maybe his family's got money or something like that to the point to where he doesn't need the UFC's paycheck or he's not thirsty for the title, you know, because that could be something else. Maybe you don't need the money, but you just have always dreamed of being a UFC champion. So you don't want to speak out against the company because then you're going to be fucking around and fighting in LFA or Bellator or something because you didn't like early weigh-ins. Or, you know, there's not everybody's going to come out and speak against, you know, you got to choose your battles. You can't just come out and speak out on everything. Like, you know, but this early weigh-in thing is a pretty big topic, and you are seeing some fighters come out and say, yo, we like the fucking early weigh-ins. Don't punish us for these people that are unprofessional coming in missing weight by 8 pounds. Mackenzie Dern, I don't know why she's like the face of missing weight at this point, but that's immediately who I think of. But, and probably because she missed by so much. But they're saying don't punish all of us fighters who are taking advantage of these early weigh-ins, and actually now we have more time to rehydrate, we have more time to replenish, which was the whole reason we added these things. Now we're taking it back because you got a couple turds missing weight, so you're punishing us essentially for that. So I like Quinn speaking out on that, and he makes a lot of good points as far as that is concerned. But this is just like one guy, right? Now I quit. He just seems like the frustrated, like fucking employee that gets it and no one else does. Like I don't know what it was, but at the end of what I did a video on this before Full Time MMA in the morning. But there's so much he said in this interview. I couldn't just cover everything. We just pretty much covered him talking about the early weigh-ins. But one of the things he said in here was like, nobody gets it, man. Just nobody gets it. And it was just like summed everything up perfectly for me. Like he's just frustrated with what's going on. He feels like, you know, Dana White's running the business into the ground. This is what Alec Quinta said. He feels like Dana White's just saying whatever he wants. He's not speaking the truth. He's just going with an agenda. And Alec Quinta's like, and nobody's saying shit. Like nobody's speaking up. We all just go with it. They're taking our early weigh-ins from us. What the fuck is going on around here? And nobody gets it. Like he just seems like, you know, that guy that's pissed off and sees what's going on, but he just can't get anybody to understand, you know, almost like a conspiracy theorist low-key. Like, nobody gets it, man. Like, but at the same time, you know, Ally Quinta isn't the easiest guy to work with. And one of the things really, like, I don't think this is a topic you can just talk about and make it go away, right? Like, if we're being honest about this, like when you see big changes happening in a sport, if the players want a voice, they literally have to be like in some sort of union. And that's just from my fan experience watching other sports. Like whenever they don't like. I'll just use the NFL and NBA for example, because that's what I watched a lot before MMA. Whenever the TV deals came up and stuff like that, new Fox deals, new ESPN deal, any of that shit, the players, when they were negotiating for their half, it wasn't just one player coming out and going, yeah, man, none of these other players get it. Fucking, they're about to do a TV deal. We all need to hold out. No, they literally had to have that union in place and fucking present a lockout. So I like Quinta speaking out. It's refreshing, but I don't know how much it's going to help. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just one guy. So really interesting situation there. But I like Quinta, man. Very riveting interview. I liked a lot of what he had to say. You know, it's entertaining, even if you don't understand what's going on with the Gaethje situation. Or this is my thing with I like Quinta, like, cause I'm rocking with him and some of the other fighters. Honestly, when it comes to this situation where I'm at right now, and this is just right now, it could change. And if I see the other argument presented, but right now, what I have is Dana White saying, you know, the numbers don't lie, and that, you know, fighters aren't warning people and stuff like that, right? As to why we're going back to ceremonial weigh-ins. But the whole reason we introduced ceremonial weigh-ins, which is something we had to pull up and look up, was we found out doctors suggested it. It gives fighters more time to rehydrate, which in tune could actually make for better fights. You know, if I'm healthier going into the fight, I can probably fight better. Just getting that little bit more time to rehydrate makes you a little more healthier going into the fight. That's one of the things Ali Quinta pointed out. But the thing about that is, you know, we have the two ways. You got the morning weigh-ins, which, you know, some people seem to like, but we've had fighters missing weight. But Ali Quinta, that's what he was speaking on, though. Dana White, you know, we've heard him saying that there's some fighters that want to go back, but I haven't really seen that on Twitter. I've seen a lot of fighters speaking out against it, saying, don't punish us for these guys missing weight. So where I'm at right now in the situation, I see where Ali Quinta's coming from, because he says, yo, where's all the fighters speaking out saying that we want late weigh-ins? I haven't saw that much either, but Dana White and, you know, the UFC has probably talked to fighters and stuff like that. And then one of the really things on Dana White's side that sticks out of this situation is he said, look, what's happening is fighters are trying to take advantage of this situation. You know, you change the weigh-ins to early weigh-ins, and it's all good in the beginning, but then fighters start trying to figure out, how can I get an advantage? How can I take advantage of this situation? And we literally just had Yoel Romero's team come out and essentially admit to doing that. Like, they were like, look, we had until 9 a.m. to weigh in, but we knew if we were within 3 pounds of championship weight by 9 a.m., they would give us until 11 a.m. So we knew we had 2 hours if we missed weight. So we were like, why not come down slower? Why not fucking miss weight intentionally, essentially? Like, why not miss weight the first time? As long as we're under 3 pounds, we get an extra 2 hours. So now that we missed weight, we're supposed to have 2 hours to cut this 0.2 pounds. That gives us an extra, 2 hours to cut weight. But then commission stops or whatever happens, if anything throws a fucking loop in your plan, now you just missed weight for a championship fight. And we got another fighter that missed weight, because we're essentially trying to game the system. So what else could you do? You know, move it back to ceremonial weigh-ins, or maybe fucking punish fighters harder that miss weight. Interesting situation there. Dan from Morgan said, full time, are you ever going to go back to full screen streaming? What is full screen streaming? I'm going back to a lot of shit, bro. This is super temporary what we're doing right now. I just have to upgrade my internet, because if I was streaming on the other version right now, where I had the bells and the whistles and the camera and all of that shit up at the same time, and the subscriber alerts, it makes it lag more. And so I just got to upgrade my internet like one more fucking notch before I can really run the bells and whistles, or it's going to cut in and out. The stream probably will, or maybe if I can move closer to the router or something. But yeah, as of right now, when I stream like this, there's no lag issues. The stream doesn't cut in and out. So I'm just doing this for smooth sailing. But yeah, this is just super temporary. One of the best MMA hour shows I've listened to. Ariel went out with a bang. Hell yeah, there was who was it? Sean McCorkle and Matt Mitrio. They had a little fucking comedy segment on there. That shit was pretty funny too. Jacob De La Cruz says Kelvin Gastelum's the king of missing weight. Arpit Singh says yes, for some idiots they punish everybody. Yeah, they're punishing a lot of other fighters for what's going on here, you know, with people missing weight. So, but at the same time, Dana White said they did the numbers and stuff like that. And Dana White's pretty set in stone too. Like, this isn't like up for debate. Like a reporter was asking about, he's like, "Are we still talking about the weigh-ins? Like they're going back. Like you can quit asking about it." So interesting situation there. But let's move on to see what we got next up on the queue. I know we don't got a lot left actually, so after these last one or two topics, we'll just go straight to the. If anybody has anything to say, let me know. MMA Hour just deleted, said Israel. Hey, they deleted what? You use 2 tabs side by side or something and only show us one. It's portrait style instead of landscape. Oh yeah, I am using 2 tabs side by side so I can like look at the news and also see the chat. Also, yeah, I could probably fix the problem if I had a second monitor, but right now I've only got 1 monitor, so I'm using 2 tabs side by side. But yeah, once I get a second monitor, I'll also be able to make it probably bigger as far as that's concerned. So, but yeah, man, we're a work in progress over here. You know, we're working out the gutter. We're coming from fucking a bare old ass laptop. At least we got this computer right now on one screen. So we'll get a second screen eventually, you know, upgrade our internet, but we're coming straight out the motherfucking gutter with full-time MMA in the morning. So with that being said, what's the next topic? Dana White and John Jones are both still very interested in the fight. I think we already talked about that yesterday, actually, but we can talk about it again for a quick second. Excuse me, my allergies are killing me down here. We ain't got our fucking air on, windows open and shit. Allergies coming in the window. Allergens. Ivan Hernandez in the building. What's up, brother? Full-time Yadong MMA. Yo, Yadong is on the next fight card. He's not fighting on Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series, but he will be fighting on Cerrone versus Edwards UFC Singapore. That's for sure. Yadong. Holy smokes. Time really goes off on complete. Yeah, I think we actually. Oh, this is one thing we didn't cover. So, real fast. This was Gadea. And we talked about Esparza accusing her of greasing, right? Well, now Claudia Gadea is coming out and saying that she suffered a knee injury during UFC 225 fight with before and during. So she said that like a week before her fight, she fucked up her knee. And then in the first round, she fucked it up even more. So, I mean, and I could be wrong here. This is kind of a joke, but I'm just saying what we talked about earlier was Carla Esparza accusing Claudia of greasing. If you break your knee or if you injure your leg 1 week before the fight, you might be thinking, fuck, I'm at a disadvantage. How can I even the playing field? Somebody get the coconut butter and the baby oil. That's all I'm saying. Maybe Carla Esparza was onto something. Claudia coming out, you know, coming into the fight injured. Maybe she needed something. I don't know. Maybe she felt like she needed the grease so she couldn't pull her leg off. I don't know. I'm just putting it out there. But this is what Claudia had to say. I didn't want to pull out of the fight, but Monday of last week, I strained a ligament in my knee and the posterior thigh muscle and went there to fight for you. Now I'll take care and come back stronger. I blew my knee in the first round and was at the hospital hoping everything would be fine. So this was before the fight, like a week before the fight. She said she blew her knee. And then also in the first round, it like got even worse. So yeah, man, Claudia Gadea, maybe that's why she looked so bad in there against Carla Esparza, you know, because she was a huge favorite coming into the fight, but it looks like she tore up her knee and it almost costed her the fight because Carla Esparza looked great in there. I did not expect that from Carla Esparza, man. She was even riding a 2-fight win streak, but she hadn't been fighting the Carolinas and the Jessica Andrades and the Claudias of the world. So I was like, yo, how's Carla Esparza doing? You know what I'm saying? How's she going to do against a top 5 fighter like this? And Carla Esparza low-key fucking looked great. But it looks like Claudia Gadea might have had a little bit of a knee injury. Hey. Arpit Singh says 6,412. Congrats, bro. Oh, snaps. We're 6,400 subs. Let's motherfucking go, family. I want to have a live subscriber count. Bro, you guys don't know how much fucking better this is going to get. Dan from Oregon said, full time, what city you in? I'll search Craigslist. I'm from Kansas, bro, but the problem is I don't have no money. So unless you're going to buy it for me, there's no reason to search Craigslist. Dan from Oregon said, goal number 1, second monitor. Goal number 2, internet. Side note, Streamlabs was too much for my processor, not my internet. Streamlabs, so maybe it's the Streamlabs. Well, see, I got a new computer and it's pretty good, but I think it might be my internet. But I don't know. I don't even really know what the fuck my processor is. I mean, I know what a processor is. I've heard of it. I know something about the computer, something in the computer, but I'm pretty sure I got a good one because whenever I bought this computer for the channel, I went to Walmart and there was like a $500 computer, and then the best one was like $650. And I only had enough for the $500 one, but I was like, yo, I gotta fucking go and borrow some money, kind of, from the payday loan place. So I got the $650 computer, which had like the best stats. So I would assume this processor could fucking handle it, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong. But with that being said, man, I think that's pretty much the news topics for today. So if anybody wants to hop in the chat, I guess this will be the time for it. And for anybody else that's, going to probably leave at this point, if you are, I mean, make sure you hit thumbs up before you go. But if you are interested and you want to join and you have anything you want to talk about, honestly, it's a little bit of a short day as far as, news topics are concerned. You could imagine. I mean, maybe there's some other topics. If you guys have anything, let me know in the chat. But, I mean, we're about an hour in anyway. So, first hour covering the news. Second hour, if anybody else from the family wants to hop in on the call, have anything else to say, we can get that going too. Unless you guys want to look at UFC Singapore, which is the next actual UFC event. Got your boy Get Dong on there. We also got the Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series card coming up tonight. But, yeah, man, other than that, if there's not anything else that you guys can think of, you guys want to talk about, we can call it for full-time MMA in the morning, except for, of course, the part where anybody who has anything to say, they can fucking hop in this joint and drop some knowledge bombs on the family. Ivan Hernandez said, sure, Whitaker broke his thumb, but Yoel practically lost his eyesight and destroyed Robbery Whitaker. Robbery Whitaker. That's Robber Whitaker, like a robber, cops and robbers. That's funny. No, yeah, no, but yeah, that's, I mean, I could see. I mean, it was a great fight. I'll say that. The second fight, Yoel Romero versus Robert Whitaker, was just an amazing fight. And when you have a fight that's that good, I think it's hard to call it a robbery because we've all seen actual robberies. We've all seen fights that weren't close, that weren't back and forth. We've seen actual robberies. And then when you add the fact that this is a title fight, in order to be the champion, you have to beat the champion. Robert Whitaker was the champion. You know what I'm saying? Think about Dan Henderson versus Michael Bisping, right? Like, a lot of people feel like Henderson might have won that fight, but, you can't leave it in the hand of the judges. I mean, Yoel almost got Whitaker out of there, but, I mean, I think that fight was too close to call it a robbery over so many other decisions we've called. We've saw. Google Hangout forward things says love Whitaker, but had to be a draw. 5 rounds, easily 10-8. Bloody Mike Jackson got a 10-8 round. So I love Whitaker, but it had to be a draw. Yeah, and a draw would have been interesting as well. That would have been interesting if it was a draw. That would have been really interesting. I think there could be probably more draws, right? There's, I think Wonderboy versus Till. That would have been a fucking great fight to call a draw. I think that would have been a great fight to call a draw. But it would have been a weird situation. I mean, like Wonderboy's second draw in like his last 5 fights. Jacob De La Cruz said Masvidal versus Raging Al. Yeah, that's a fight I felt like was a robbery. That's a fight where I felt like my boy Masvidal won, but Raging Al got his hand raised. And, like, if you're talking about robberies, like, when compared to Robert Whitaker versus Yoel Romero, there's fights like that you could point out. Do you believe the Holly Holm hype train to the M24? Do you really believe it? I don't know. I don't even know if there is a Holly Holm hype train. Is there? I think Holly Holm, she was hype, but I don't know what the hype is. What are people hyping her to beat Amanda Nunes? I don't believe in that hype train. I think Amanda Nunes is a motherfucking savage. Amanda Nunes is another person like Colby Covington with me. Like, if you look, if you don't like them, then you might ignore their skills, right? Some people don't like Amanda Nunes for whatever reason. They think that she's, I don't know, got sinuses. I don't know why people really hate Amanda Nunes. I actually need some reasons. I'm trying, Tyron Woodley, I know what people say. Oh, people say, like, he's boring. He's a race baiter. So I don't know, like, what those reasons are for Amanda Nunes. Somebody tell me in the comments. Why do people hate Amanda Nunes? Is it because her fucking sinuses? Like, is it because her Shevchenko fight? I don't know the exact reasons. Usually there's a label that people like to throw on somebody that you kind of get why most people hate them. But Amanda Nunes is not a huge fan favorite. I know that much. But I'll say this, kind of like Colby Covington with Amanda Nunes. If you look at what everybody fucking, is saying about them and the outside and all of that, if you're not just looking at their skills, then you might have her underrated. Amanda Nunes has literally been fucking everybody up. As far as her skills are concerned, I don't know who's going to beat her anytime soon, but people don't really like her. So people are always like, fuck Amanda Nunes, she's overrated. She lost to Valentina Shevchenko. I don't give a fuck if you have to beat the champion. I don't care if she got her takedown in the 5th round. I don't care if you have to beat the champion in order to be the champion. I don't like her, so she lost. It's kind of like Colby Covington. Like, no, I hate him. He says all of this stuff. Everyone hates him. He's a douchebag. He's an asshole. But it's like, yeah, but he's got some serious wrestling skills at welterweight. Like, he's actually beaten some guys. So if you just don't like a person, that can turn you off from their skills. Leon Douglason said a lot of people think she's a sellout. What the fuck? Maybe if you're from Brazil and you feel like she turned on your people, but if you're not from Brazil, I don't even know if that's your argument. I guess, though, I could see it, but I don't know. I think she gets a lot of unnecessary slack, man. Being a sellout, like, what is that? What is that? Moving to a fucking better country? Like, is that what that is? Like, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people that would probably move from Brazil to America if given the chance. Yo, Arpit, you jumping on the hangout? Want to challenge you on something you said. Oh, shit, we're about to have a motherfucking Forward Thinking versus Arpit debate popping off. I'm going to be the moderator and the mediator. Ivan Hernandez said, Ronda fans hate Nunes. Maybe that's what it was. Well, I don't know, because they don't hate Holly. Maybe they hate Nunes because she fucking beat their favorite fighter. Maybe that's what it is. Amanda Nunes has beat Miesha Tate. People probably weren't fans of that. That she beat Valentina Shevchenko. She's beat a lot of girls that have fan bases, so maybe that makes them hate Amanda Nunes just because she beat your favorite. But yeah, there's not really any good reason I've seen in the comments like why people hate Amanda Nunes. Maybe it's her looks, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that that's a good reason to hate her, but the fighters that most people like by popular consensus are usually the better looking fighters, right? And there's a lot of fighters with way worse skills than Amanda Nunes that are fan favorites that people actually like. Maybe it has something to do with the looks, you know what I'm saying? Because if you're just going off of skills, which is clearly that's never the case. If we were just going off of skills, people would probably like a lot of different fighters that they don't like. Like Amanda Nunes, if just going off skill, people would probably like her a little more. If we were just going off of skill, people probably wouldn't underrate Colby as much as they were going into the RDA fight. But I think people look at the fucking bullshit that comes with it, right? I don't know, man. I don't know, man. What is it? Because she's legend. I really don't know. I need a good answer. Like somebody that's not an Amanda Nunes fan in the chat, type what you don't like about her. Like if I said, yo, why don't people like Tyron Woodley? You guys would tell me in the chat, he's boring. He's a race baiter. He's TMZ gossip girl. You know what I'm saying? Like there's the reasons you know. But if I said, why do you hate Amanda Nunes? I don't know what it is. I don't know her label yet. I don't think it's a boring fighter. She doesn't get that rap. Is it because her like fucking looks? I really don't know. It's hard. But yeah, a lot of people, maybe it's because, I don't know, man. I'm looking at the chat to see if anyone has a good reason. But I feel like Amanda Nunes, for whatever, M24 said Amanda has legit skills. Paige Van Zant said CC. Paige Van Zant's got a lot of fans, bro. A lot of people that like her. Like not, and that's like one of the skill conversations we were having. And she's probably even getting more now, even though she's not really fighting as much. But speaking of Paige Van Zant, her fucking man's about to be fighting in the UFC. What's his name? Like Austin something? I wonder if he's fighting on the Contender Series. I'll definitely be watching that. Forward Thinking says, I like Nunes. I'm just mad the UFC didn't properly promote her after the Ronda KO. Do you think that might have something to do with it? Like the fact that she's not being, I don't know, pushed as like a fucking media darling. I guess you can't really push someone as a media darling if they're not a media darling. But Yeah, that's one thing. You said the UFC didn't properly promote her after the Ronda KO. I also saw like Joe Rogan talking about that leading into the fucking Ronda fight. Like, yo, you guys are focusing everything on Ronda Rousey. There's no hate here, brother, said Ivan Hernandez. Leon Doubleson said, who would really be the legitimate 135-pound contender for the women? It's out of Caitlin Vieira and Holly Holm right now. I mean, I know Holly Holm's not fighting bantamweight. She's been fighting at featherweight, but she is the #1 ranked contender. She's also a former champion. She's fought for the belt. She's one of the most popular, whatever that means. So Holly Holm, I mean, it's out of Holly Holm and Caitlin Vieira. And if you want the true #1 contender, hell, have Holly fight Caitlin. Winner fights for the belt. But if Amanda Nunes is ready to go, then maybe you just have to throw one of them in there. Dan from Oregonton, Tanya Ebinger. What about Tanya Ebinger? Are you saying she's somebody that's underrated, or somebody that's is a legit challenger at bantamweight? Jacob De La Cruz said, "I'm not." Hell, yeah. When is Tanya Ebinger's next fight in the UFC? I think she was actually supposed to fight possibly. Who was it? Marion Renault, maybe, and she might have been pulled out due to an injury. Yeah, I wonder when Tanya Ebinger's next fight is going to be. Jacob De La Cruz says, I'm not fighting in the UFC full time. They always spread rumors about me and my girl. Who are you? What? Who's you and your girl? Ivan Hernandez said, oh, the belts. If Nunes beats Ronda, the whole world will know who she is. Dana Pinocchio White said, forward thinking. I know, right? Interesting, man. Interesting situation there. But yeah, I don't know, man. There's not even a legit reason that people hate Nunes, it looks like. It's just like a fucking... Maybe it's I don't know what it is, man. Maybe it's because she doesn't, and I just have to go here and assume because, like, what is it? Like, is it a looks thing? Is it a fucking lesbian thing? Like, why do people not like her? Clearly, it's not because she's racist or race baiter or boring fights, because that's not popping up. Leon Doubleson said, what about Marion? Marion's facing who? She's facing, like, Kat Zingano, I believe, coming up. Marion Renault, let's look at her UFC record. I know she's on a winning streak. UFC.com, bantamweight rankings. Women's bantamweight. Marion is currently ranked #7, facing Kat Zingano. Who is her wins coming over? 1, 2, 3, 0-1 in her last 4. She had a draw with Betch Correia. Interesting. I mean, yeah, Marion's doing her thing. I mean, just going on her resume, I don't think she can get a title shot yet, just because, like, the fans and stuff like that and the UFC. I think, and it's not her fault. She can't pick and choose her opponents. But, it's one of those situations where until you get a win over, like, a #1 contender, I don't think the UFC is going to plug you in there unless you're, coming off some crazy knockout, right? Like Cody, when Cody Garbrandt, I believe, was ranked #6 when he knocked out Thomas Almeida and got a title shot. So, like, the only way I think somebody really gets a title shot from being ranked #6 or #7 is if you get a spectacular fucking KO, and you got a whole lot of fans behind you, you're a fan favorite, tattoos on your neck. No, I'm just playing. But you got to have a lot of fans behind you. I don't know if it's a fucking looks thing. You can get the fans behind you from #6 and then get a spectacular KO. You could potentially be propelled into a title shot. But yeah, Marion, as far as the matchmaking is concerned, like, this isn't I don't know how, even if she beats Kat Zingano, I don't know if that's going to get her a title shot, because then she might move up to #6, so it's unfortunate matchmaking for Marion Renault. Because if she got to fight Caitlin Vieira, Marion Renault versus Caitlin Vieira, who's Caitlin Vieira fighting next? You know what I'm saying? If she got to fight Caitlin Vieira and beat her, boom, you jump way up here, and for fuck yeah, you're possibly next for the title fight. But when you put against Kat Zingano down here ranked #6, it's like, okay, even if I win, I'm going up to what, #6? It's not like the fans are gonna come out like, yo, Maria Renault's ranked #6. She just gotta win over Kat Zingano. We need her in the title fight. I'm talking about the casual audience, the motherfuckers you really want. The hardcore fans and stuff like that, they might say, yeah, we're cool with that. But a lot of the casual fans are going to be like, what? We got #6 and 7 fighting for the title, That's why Holly Holm is kind of lucky. She's been fucking sitting up here at #1, right? So even if you put her in the title fight, there's not going to be a lot of people that look at it with skeptical hippo eyes because she's #1 ranked, And she's been fighting for title fights. So on top of the popular, so a lot of stuff plays into that. But yeah, Marion Renault, I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to her next fight. Leon Dubson said, "No way, Marion should be ranked 7th." Yeah, where was Sarah McMahon's ranked number 8? Yeah, right. That's unfortunate. She just beat Sarah McMahon. Now, like, this is, you don't really see this a lot. Somebody have to literally climb the rankings. Like, I gotta fight number 7 to take her spot. Then I gotta fight number 6 to take her spot. Then I gotta fight number 5. Then 4. Normally it's like, okay, oh shit, I'm number 7 and I get ranked against number 2. Phew, this is a huge opportunity. If I win this fight, I'm super close to the title. But Cat is Marion Renault just fought Sarah McMahon, who was number 8, probably took her spot. Now she's having to fight number 6. Like, if she has to fight GDR next, this is some baby back bail biting bullshit. You know what I'm saying? That'd be fucked up. Having to climb the ranks like a fucking rung. But hey, man, Juliana Pena, she's out for a while. I think she had her baby not too long ago, maternity leave. But Caitlin Vieira, though, she's been sitting up here. She's somebody that could potentially be fighting for the title next. Honestly, the true number 1 contender fight, I think, is Holly Holm versus Caitlin Vieira. Just looking at the rankings as well, ranked number 1, ranked number 2. I think they're both probably healthy. Amanda Nunes might still be out with, she had a 180-day medical suspension or some shit after her last fight. So in the meantime, in between time, if we need a number 1 contender fight, why not Holm versus Vieira? I mean, that'd be a fucking dope fight, actually. Forward thinking said, honestly, Holm would KO Mike Jackson stiff first round head kick. Yo, not Holly Holm versus Mike Jackson. Are you guys kidding me down here? Misha Tater's a takedown artist, which Nunes isn't, said forward thinking. All right. All right, with that being said, I'm about to drop the link. I'm about to drop the motherfucking link. I know Forward Thinking and R-Pit are ready to hop on here and go back and forth. It's y'all's time. Do your motherfucking thug bizzles. So, yeah, man, we're about to send out the link to anybody that wants to join the chat. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to Full-Time MMA in the morning for today, Tuesday. Tomorrow's Wednesday. We're right back at it like a crack addict. And don't forget, we got Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series tonight. First episode, Greg Hardy's fighting. I'm going to have to try and tune into that. Like, am I an asshole? I probably am. I don't claim to be like some fucking perfect person. So that's probably why I'm not on a moral high ground like everybody else. I don't claim to be some fucking perfect guy, like, and I don't hang around all perfect people. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't hang around, but my family, shit. If you hang out with your family, I know a lot of fucking people that the outside world might consider like pieces of shit. And I'm forced to look at them in a different light because it's my family. So that's probably why I'm giving everybody chances and shit. But yeah, man, for some reason I'm interested in Greg Hardy's fight, more than some people who are probably like, boycott Greg Hardy. I just like, hey, man, he might get knocked the fuck out. Chill, bro. Let's just watch. Who knows? Leon Dubson said, now time, Vera versus Renault is the number 1 contender fight for me. Vera versus Renault, Caitlin Vieira versus Renault. Yeah, but Marion Renault's already got a fight. That's the thing. She's already got to fight Kat Zingano, and then by the time that fight happens, she's got to hope Vieira's not booked. And honestly, man, as far as Marion Renault is concerned, I mean, I'm a fan of Marion Renault, but, like, to get to the number 1 title fight, you literally have to fight someone up there. Like, was Sarah McMahon in the top 5 when she fought her? Talita Bernardo, okay. I mean, she's got a draw with Betch Correia. That's really not, when you just look at that on paper, it's not super impressive. Like, this is my thing with Marion Renault. Like, I would like to see her get an opportunity to fight a top, I listen to CHS Combat Sports. I know this is one of his favorite fighters. And honestly, I feel like, there might be a little, I don't know, in my mind, if I'm just a fan, if I'm looking at who's next for the title shot, and if I didn't know anything about Marion Renault, I probably wouldn't look at her resume and say, oh, this is who should be fighting for the title next. She beat Sarah McMahon, but look at the top 5 of the division. We got Holly Holm, Caitlin Vieira, Juliana Pena, Raquel Pennington, and Jermaine Durandamy. So Marion Renault, and it could be because of the matchmakers, but she doesn't have a win over anybody in the top 5. And, people are saying she deserves a title shot over Holly Holm. She actually has a loss to Holly Holm. It was a while ago. But as far as, you don't see a lot of people getting title shots without a win over someone in the top 5. So Marion Renault, and she's kind of getting shafted with maybe with the matchmaking because she fought Sarah McMahon and she didn't get a bigger opportunity, right? She's having to fight number 6. So she's still not getting a top 5 opponent. So, but this is the thing. Even after this Kat Zingano win, she's going to have to fight like a Vieira. You know, if Marion Renault beats Caitlin Vieira, she's next for the title for sure, in my opinion. But then you still got Holly Holm over her, and if it was up to the casual fan, they might give it to her. Now, if you're an MMA purist and you think you want the MMA, rankings to matter, which that's just not the case, we know, but yeah, you'd like to see her get shot up the rankings, but I think that's a lot more of maybe a little bit of a bias because I want to see. I'm still interested in seeing Jermaine Durandamy come back. I would like to see a lot of these fights, and this is just what I think makes the most sense, just completely unbiased. I don't know any of these chicks, never talked to any of these chicks, none of that shit. But if you're just looking at the rankings, Caitlin Vieira versus Holly Holm seems to make a lot of sense for a title eliminator. Holly Holm just got a big win at featherweight. She's been fighting in title fights. She's lost a lot of her fights, but she's been fighting in title fights, 5-round fights. She's looked good in some of them. The GDR fight was close. The Miesha Tate fight, she was literally winning until the last fucking minute, right? So, I mean, Holly Holm, yeah, she's lost some fights, but she's still a legit former champion, title challenger, fought at a higher weight class, and now if she comes down, yeah, maybe she shouldn't get an immediate title shot, but have her fight a top contender.
No.
That forward thinking I'm hearing?
Oh, that's armpit.
Armpit and forward thinking in the building, all right?
I don't agree
what's
with
good
you.
full time? What's good?
What's going on, brother?
What's up, full time?
What's up, Armpit?
Can I say something?
Yo,
how's it going?
Mind,
What were you about to say? Yeah, speak your mind, Armpit.
Yep. Listen, Holly Holm, if they put Amanda Nunes and Holly Holm together, Amanda Nunes will split her, or I think she's a bad matchup for Holly Holm.
You think Amanda Nunes is a bad matchup for Holly Holm?
Yep.
Okay.
Listen, this is not this is not Meg Henderson or some inexperienced girl. She's gonna fight. Amanda Nunes is an MMA artist, and she's a kickboxer. And she, whenever she fights with some higher IQ fighters, she always loses. The problem with Holly Holm is that she don't learn from mistakes. If she tries to grapple with Amanda, she will be submitted by Amanda. That's for sure. But the problem with the real problem is begins with the striking. Listen, she just throws random shit on maybe for boxing, some kicks, but she don't do it with power and convincingly that I'm gonna knock somebody out. She just throws some hish and nothing else. And then I think she's a bad matchup for Holly Holm, I think.
I think Amanda Nunes, yeah, I think she's a bad matchup for everybody in the division right now. I mean, honestly, like what we're talking about here, and I see my boy Dan from Oregon join the chat. What's up, sicko? But honestly, I think I don't even remember what I was just about to say. I think I was talking about Caitlin Vieira, Holly Holm, something else. I just lost my thought, my fucking thought. So if someone remembers, you can let me know. But other than that, what's up, Dan?
What up, sickos?
Not too much, brother. Just oh yeah, that's what I was saying. A bad matchup. Amanda Nunes. I think she's a bad matchup for everybody. We're talking about who's the rightful #1 contender out of Holly Holm, Caitlin Vieira, and even Marion Renault. But the question is, can Holly Holm, Caitlin Vieira, or Marion Renault even beat Amanda Nunes, right?
I mean, let me weigh in on this because I actually have a different thought to you guys on this. Don't get me wrong. I like Nunes. I think she's a dominant champion, probably the best that we've seen at 135. But I do think Holly Holm will give her a couple of problems just because the Nunes that we've seen of recent has been a lot more conservative, a lot more tactical of her game plan and actually in her striking, which I think maybe suits Holm. We're seeing the more aggressive, more front foot Nunes that we saw obviously against Ronda, against Miesha Tate, then maybe she's going to potentially catch Holm early. But if she's fighting out of range, trying to keep her distance and maybe point with someone like Holly Holm, who's obviously a 19-time boxing champion, I actually think I can see Holm winning a decision over obviously Nunes in a very close fight where she maybe even gets dropped a couple of times. But I do see her being able to win a decision against Nunes.
Okay, and out of the 3 girls I named, I might even agree. Holly Holm might have the best chance because, like you said, and Holly Holm's her style. Yeah, if Amanda Nunes decides to get aggressive or even just, what are you gonna do? Try to outpoint Holly Holm? But I think Amanda Nunes would probably be the favorite, honestly, and probably even beat Holly Holm. I think she's got the potential. You know, sort of like Valentina Shevchenko. She's probably not as technically skilled as Valentina Shevchenko, but I think Amanda Nunes is well-rounded. So even I think she might be able to, I mean, test Holly Holm with her power. You know, if she's able to land a shot on Holly Holm, could be a problem for Holly, but also she might be able to score a takedown on Holly. And this is the thing. Holly Holm's wrestling just looked good against Megan Anderson. But I think Amanda Nunes' wrestling might be a notch higher than both of them. But I mean, I think that might be the fight, though. I mean, I think of all the fights that Amanda Nunes could potentially have. One second, I just think out of all the hold on, Arpit, real fast. I was going to say this. Out of all the like queens of the bantamweight division, you had Ronda Rousey, Miesha Tate, Valentina Shevchenko, Amanda Nunes, Holly Holm. Like, those are the biggest names. That's the biggest fight I think we haven't saw at bantamweight as well. Holly Holm versus Nunes. We've seen how Nunes did against everyone else.
Yep, I agree with you.
Yeah, for sure.
But I want to say that Holly Holm is running scared from Cyborg. She don't want any part of Cyborg. That's why she choose to go in bantamweight. She don't want any part of Cyborg. And same goes for Amanda Nunes. She don't want any part of Cyborg.
I would agree with you on the Holly Holm one, except for she's already fought Cyborg. So it's like, I don't know if she's scared. I don't know if she's scared to fight Cyborg, but, you know, if she's like thinking, which belt am I going to get back? She probably has a better chance at getting her bantamweight belt back. But she's already fought Cyborg.
Okay. I don't want her to go against. Put her against Katlyn Lavega. She will submit her on the ground. I promise you.
You think Caitlin?
Yeah, put her against Katlyn Holly Holm, and she will put her on sleep. Put her on the ground, and she will submit her. I'm telling you right now. But
that would be a good fight as well.
Dynamite will not going to do that because he knows that.
What do you think would be of the best fight next? Do you think we should see a #1 contender fight, or do you think one of these girls should just fight Amanda Nunes next?
No. I want to see a #1 contender match. This is a bullshit thing. She earned her title, Kathleen earned her sport in bantamweight, and you're giving a lady who is on losing streak, who wins against Megan Anderson, an amateur fighter, and I think they should probably give Cat versus Holly Holm if they want to make the fight, and winner gets the Nunes.
Okay, you got any thoughts about this situation, Dan? About what's going on with the female bantamweight?
Yeah, I think Holly Holm is the clear decision for bantamweight.
Okay.
She's got a chance of even taking her out. The UFC hates Amanda Nunes, man. She's not marketable. I know she's a Brazilian champion, but she doesn't even live in Brazil. Yeah. Everyone talks shit to her about that. And ever since like Joe Rogan was talking shit on her, saying, "Oh, she can't go 5 rounds. She always gasses and all this nonsense," she completely changed her game plan to some Greg Jackson game plan where it's just boring bullshit now. So no one wants Amanda Nunes as champion. But the problem is, if whoever's going to fight Cyborg, I don't know who's that's going to be, but if anyone beats Cyborg, that division might just be completely gone. Does 145 exist in the UFC without Cyborg? I think
maybe she gets a rematch, but no, you're 100% correct. With no Cyborg right now, they probably just close the division. But it's like a race because they got the Ultimate Fighter happening. You know, the division might actually fill out after this next Ultimate Fighter season because there's going to be female featherweights.
Can I tell you something? Can I say something?
Yeah, what's up, Arpit?
They're going to fill if Cyborg is gone, they're going to start filling featherweight division. I'm telling you right now.
You think they'll make it after Cyborg leaves?
Yep, because they know that they in 145 division, Cyborg is a legend, and everybody know that.
What about Kayla Harrison? Yo, all I'm saying, yeah, I know you were talking about Cyborg and stuff right now, but Kayla,
I didn't see her fight, so I can't say about her. But but some ladies are taking her name to stay relevant, just like Amanda Nunes. She take her name to fight with Cyborg, and after then Cyborg come after her. My knee hurt, this thing hurt. Same story. I don't believe I don't believe them.
You don't believe? You think she's just clout chasing another chick, build her name off of Cyborg like everybody else? Yeah, I'll fight Cyborg in the future, it'll be me. It could be that could be a real potential, but I think Kayla Harris has got the skills to pay the bills. But as of right now, you do have to look at it like everybody else because there's so many chicks that just say Cyborg's name. Oh, I'm gonna be the chick, a legit featherweight, then when it's time to fight, oh man, I got this going on at home, so I'm gonna wait till Cyborg gets booked in a fight.
Problem is Cyborg. Do you watch the fight between Junior Wars and Jojo Wars versus Cyborg?
Who versus Cyborg?
Like
GDR?
Jojo Wars and Jojo Wars, the kickboxing match. Cyborg versus Jojo Wars.
Oh no, I didn't see Cyborg in a kickboxing match.
But type on YouTube and watch that match. That girl is the Dutch girl and 6 foot 1 inch. She couldn't get Cyborg. She couldn't get knockout. She couldn't knock out Cyborg, and Cyborg was chasing her.
Okay, yeah, I haven't checked that out. I have to check that out some other time. I see a lot of people in the chat saying that 145 division is a joke at this moment. He says the 145 division is non-existent. Do you guys think that could possibly change after the Ultimate Fighter? After, they're bringing in female flyweights. But what's interesting is it's only like half the show. Half the show is female featherweights. I'm sorry, yeah. Female featherweights, and half the show is male heavyweights. So it's like even after the show, are you going to have a top 15? Like, is there even going to be 15 female featherweights that come off the show?
Can I say something? They need Kobe Covington style lady who can bring alive the 145 division.
Bro, they need a Kobe Covington in every division. I've been like, they need a Kobe at flyweight. They need a Kobe coming out here talking so much shit on Demetrius. It makes everybody want to root for Demetrius.
No, I want Kobe Covington style girl who can talk shit like Conor McGregor. Yeah, I'm gonna kick her, and that kind of girl need in 145 division.
You think
I'm gonna take her.
Female featherweights? Yeah, but this is my thing. I don't think it's gonna work in 145 because no one's gonna believe you. Like, if you come out, I'm gonna beat the fuck out of Cyborg. She's a Brazilian cheater. If you come out doing the Kobe Covington, people aren't gonna believe you. You're gonna have to back that up. Like,
Megan Anderson. Take example of Megan Anderson. I'm gonna beat. I'm a best option for Cyborg. And what the hell she done beat by Holly Holm.
Yeah, interesting. But you know what, low-key, there is a guy coming up in flyweight, though. Do you guys know who Ricky Simon is? He didn't look amazing in his last UFC fight. But he's going to be taking on, I believe, Benito Lopez next. And he seems like he's got some Chael Sonnen, Kobe Covington-esque, to his personality. And he's in the flyweight division. So I'm interested in seeing his next fight. He got on the mic, like, after his fucking last fight and cut a little promo. And, like, it was a little bit of a robbery decision, I felt like. And he was still like, don't boo. I don't remember exactly what he said, but he definitely had some personality in the flyweight division. The guy Ricky Simon.
I heard about him also, and everybody said that he's a good trash talker. I think you need, since Conor McGregor in the come to UFC, there are certain ways to get attention, and everybody just follows the path.
Yeah, man, you gotta build yourself. That really helps you, and you don't have to. I mean, you can go the fucking win 9 fights. I don't know who's echoing, but it's somebody's got a little bit of an echo. Probably whoever just joined the call. Just mute me in the background.
I think somebody.
Yeah, I think it's Stoneheart. Just mute your mic for a second.
All right. Somebody is troller.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. What's up?
What up? I'll mute it for a second.
Okay. Yeah, it's just echoing a little bit like we can hear in the background. But I forgot where I was for a second there. Were we talking about the flyweights? I was about to make a good ass point. What's up?
Try to build yourself.
Oh, build yourself. Yeah. To build yourself. Man, even, you can go the win 9 fights, win 10 fights in a row like Max Holloway, Tony Ferguson, and you get a title shot that way. It's going to take a while, Kamaru Usman, win fucking 9 or 10 fights. But I think it's also smart to build yourself. Like, even if some people might not want to trash talk, even though that's a good route, if you trash talk, man, you're going to fuck around and move up those rankings faster than you might think. People are going to want to see you fight. People want to see you lose. And if you're fighting a higher ranked guy, you could easily lose. So people are going to tune in. But if you win, you take his spot in the rankings. But even aside from just trash talking, building yourself outside of, whatever you're doing already, I think that's good for fighters. Like, and that's one thing Tyron Woodley's doing right. You might not like seeing him on the TMZ and shit. That's actually getting new fans to tune in the hard way, right? He's going out there and fucking. He probably, who knows what he wants inside. He might want to be on the TMZ desk gossiping, but I don't think that's what anybody like wakes up. What can I do? I want to be on the fucking TMZ desk. But what it is doing is it's introducing you to a new audience, an audience that before they probably didn't know who you were. You know what I'm saying? They now you've got, even though he's rapping, you might think it's cringy. Tyron Woodley's fucking rapping. Like, oh my God, I do not want to hear that mixtape. But guess what? There's some people that are going to hear it. And like, who is this guy? So he's building, it might be slowly, but he's going out there and he's got the champ camps he does by himself, like his own embeddeds. There's something to be said for building your name outside of what the UFC has planned for you. If you're a fighter and you feel like the UFC's not pushing you enough, you got to hit the motherfucking beat, get out there, do this, do that, do this, and it's going to help you become more popular, and you see how that can help a fighter. If you're a popular-ass person coming in, you get opportunities. So if you don't want to trash talk, maybe you've got to build your, following another way. But you can't just expect the UFC to come in there and push every single person. And I don't think that's going to, there's too many fighters, and it's not even really realistic to just be able to push everybody. Like, hey, guys, let's do fucking 20 embeddeds so we have time to promote everybody on the card.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah. Yo, I'm just changing subject a little bit because I picked up on something that Arpit said in the chat earlier. He's talking about how the UFC will be gone soon, or it's like it's not gonna grow, or it's gonna be obsolete. And I was thinking, I found that quite strange because for me, I only see the UFC going up, and the reason why is because if you look at all the champions, literally every single one of them, they all started in a different discipline, whether it's wrestling, maybe Whitaker when he started in kickboxing, or whatever Stipe started in, for instance. I actually believe you see someone like Sean O'Malley coming up. He's actually dedicated his whole life to mixed martial arts. You're going to see a lot more fighters that are coming up in the near future. And I feel like that's almost going to breed a better style of MMA and obviously better fighters in general, which are going to have more longevity in the sport. Because you see someone like Romero, who started up as an Olympic wrestler, you're not going to see that in 10, 15 years' time. These guys are going to all spend their entire careers building up to be great MMA fighters. So I just want to get what Arpit and all you guys think on that, and whether the UFC is going to continue to grow. Because for me, I don't see how it's going to get any less. I think it's going to definitely surpass boxing if it hasn't already surpassed boxing, and definitely become one of the best sports in the world.
I agree. I've seen that, like, delete. I don't know if that's what they're talking about, like UFC obsolete. But I was going to say, I don't think so. I think the sport's growing. I mean, they just broke to ESPN. I mean, there's more like the casual fans don't only know Conor McGregor and Ronda Rousey anymore. Like, when I talk to my brother who's super casual, he's starting to pick up on other names. Like, who's Darren Till? Oh, Sean O'Malley? Like, there's up and coming stars as well. So even, I think there's going to be future stars. The UFC's moving to new networks. They've never been on ESPN in the past. Like, we're literally about to hear fucking Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless and people talking about the UFC. It's going to be cringy. When Shannon Sharp said Nate Diaz, he's a giant. He'll never make lightweight again. Like, he hasn't been back since then. But what are you talking about? Like, but it's still growing. We're getting new casual fans by the day, and they might not know everything. But before Conor McGregor and Ronda Rousey, there was even less. And I think it's continuing to grow, new opportunities for the UFC and stuff like that. But I'm interested to hear what Dan and Arpit have to say. Do you guys think the UFC could potentially go into the ground, or you think it's on the rise?
Can I say something about the UFC right now? They are in the platform. They can go. They are on the platform. They can go up or down. My problem with the UFC, they are favoring some fighters. They are unprofessionals, and they are favoring them.
The way the UFC is handling some of the fighters is unprofessional. You think, like the Yair Rodriguez situation?
Yeah. Favoring them, like they are favoring some fighters for Dynamite, they like Dynamite. Dynamite like somebody to they start favoring them, like Mackenzie
Oh,
Dunn, Darren Till,
saving some of the fighters. Yeah, but to be fair, that's how you build stars. Conor McGregor, to be fair, earlier in his career was saved a little bit. I mean, I go to Joey Diaz's rant. Like, we could have had Conor McGregor versus Frankie Edgar, and here comes fucking Dennis Siva. Like, Dennis Siva, you know, that was a great matchmaking kind of until Conor McGregor can get his wrestling base up, right? Eventually, he's going to have it down packed. Eventually, Conor's going to be able to beat Chad Mendez, as we saw. But earlier in his career, if you would have thrown him at a fucking Chad Mendez and then a Frankie Edgar, that could be a whole different Conor McGregor story.
Yep, I agree with you, but they are saving some fighters. No, I'm not saying that they're putting fighters. I'm just saving. If they miss weight, let's make her. And I'm telling you, I don't know. Darren Till is should be fight in middleweight, but Darren Till got skills. But what about Mackenzie Dunn? She don't know how. She's a weight bully. She should be in, I think, flyweight or bantamweight, and she's fighting in 155. She couldn't make weight in 150.
Flush the drugs.
Hello?
I saw somebody said that. Yeah. Yeah, so somebody's got the mark. It's all good, though.
She couldn't make weight in strawweight. So how can she get in favorism? And some like Paige, she don't know how to fight. And still she's fighting in UFC. And just like Punk, she's going to get destroyed by someone. Last fight between with Clark, she almost break her hand, and everybody said, "Oh, she's so tough that she broke her hand." I was like, "This is a fight game. You broke your hand."
Yeah, when Paige when she fought Jessica Rose Clark and she broke her arm in the fight.
Yep, and but the wake-up call, they didn't listen when the Rose was toying with her in Rose was destroying the Rose versus Paige. Do you watch that fight? The Rose versus the Paige. The Rose versus Paige. The fight between Rose versus and Paige and then.
Yeah, I didn't hear the last part. What are my headphones? Are you asking a question?
Yeah, do you watch that fight? The Rose versus
Rose versus Mackenzie Dern?
No. Rose versus Paige.
Oh, Rose versus Paige?
Yeah, that she was schooled by Rose in that fight.
Oh yeah. Oh, did I watch that fight? Rose versus Paige. Yeah. Man, Paige was looking bad in that fight. She got busted up pretty good in that fight.
He was schooled by Rose, and still you have to back.
But see, this is the thing, though. The Paige Van Zants have a place. They're helping grow the sport, right? Because Paige Van Zant went to Dancing with the Stars. She's doing a lot even now. Like, she's not even fighting. She's got a food job. She's doing all type of promotion for the UFC. So literally, Paige Van Zant, like what you're saying, though. Go ahead.
She got no skills. She got no skills of MMA and skills they are backing her. That's my problem. If they back their best fighter like Rose, they could get something else, but no, they back up the unskilled unprofessional idiots. That's my problem with the UFC.
Yeah, but see. I see, and there's probably a lot of people that agree with you. That's what's wrong with the UFC. You got the Paige Van Zants and the Mackenzie Derns, the people that don't have the highest skill getting pushed. But this is the thing. They shouldn't be in UFC. They should fight in some amateur fights in MMA, then come to UFC. But somehow they say somehow they. This is the thing, though. That's what I'm saying, though. That's kind of the UFC as a business. That's helping the sport grow. Because even if Paige Van Zant loses eventually, she's still got a lot of fans now. Hold on, Mackenzie Dern as well. Like, there's a lot of people who probably feel like she's overrated. She's getting the push. She doesn't deserve it. She's unprofessional, but she's getting more and more fans by the day. And, one day it's probably going to come crashing down for her, right? She's probably going to lose if she has to fight Rose Namajunas. She's not going to probably have the skills to deal with that. But until then, she's drawing a lot of eyes to the sport, making the sport grow, essentially. Like, it's kind of like, it's a
Yeah, I
business.
agree.
There's going to be some fighters that have the skills, the Tony Fergusons, the Max Holloways, the Kamaru Usmans, to go on a 9-fight win streak. But some people are going to be popular fighters, fighters that have a lot of fans, like a Paige Van Zandt or a Mackenzie Dern, and they probably can't do that. They can't beat 9 people in the top 15, so they might need a little help from the UFC. And yeah, they're probably going to lose in the future eventually, probably a bad loss. But in the meantime, they're kind of still helping the sport grow. And I use Paige Van Zandt as an example. No one probably ever looked at her as the best strawweight on the planet, and definitely not the best flyweight. But she's for sure one of the faces of the division, one of the most popular fighters, and she's still doing a good job of growing the sport, even when she's not fighting. She's went and I already mentioned this, but she got a boob job. I've seen that recently. Her boyfriend's about to be fighting, and she's doing a lot of promotion for the UFC. I think she's going to start doing commentary. She's doing shit with the Metro PCS. She's doing shit with the Army's fans, like the troops that support. So even though she doesn't have to grow the sport inside the octagon with her skills, she was in there. We've seen Paige Van Zandt. We've seen when she broke her arm and outlasted the fight, still survived in the fight. But yeah, she might not be a champion or beat 5 people in the top 5, but she's still doing a very good job of helping grow the sport. And Mackenzie Dern, hell, if she might not fucking win 10 fights in a row or beat Rose Namajunas, but there's a lot of people. She's attracting a lot of eyes for whatever reason, if it's the accent, if it's the butt, whatever it is. Mackenzie Dern's drawing a lot of fans, and she might not become a champion, but what if she goes and does a reality show or gets on the commentary booth and still uses that platform to bring eyes to the sport? So all of these people that might be fan favorites who aren't the most skilled, they still have a place. They still help grow the sport and hell, get the sport to ESPN. Some people feel like Ronda Rousey was a hype job and she could have been, but guess what? All of that hype brought a lot of eyes to the sport and a lot of new fans. So yeah, she got exposed eventually by Holly Holm and Amanda Nunes, but in the meantime, she's doing a lot for the sport.
Good morning, exactly. And also to Arpit's earlier point about these other divisions need stars.
One second, Arpit. Let forward thinking get his thought out. 1 second, Arpit.
Yeah, I was just saying, obviously, Arpit's earlier point about these other divisions need the stars. I mean, Paige Van Zandt isn't chatting shit like Colby Covington, for instance, but her by herself has already done a more promotion for herself than maybe half the flyweight division, the men's flyweight division. So her just obviously been promoting herself, going and dancing with the stars. That's made her a bigger name than, again, most of the people Demetria Johnson's going to fight in the future. So I don't see the whole, let's say, backlash in terms of, oh, she's not good enough, she's not doing this. I mean, she still fought good fights. She still head kicked Beck Rollins, who's a decent fighter, an okay 500 plus fighter in that division. So I think it's good to have people like that who are bringing themselves a name, because when they go and lose to someone like a Rose Namajunas, which she did, she made a tap out, I think, in the 3rd round, the 5 round. That was in the main event on a Fox card. That brings all that attention into Rose, who then ends up going up to fight for the title, and obviously exactly. So she went up and then to fight for the title. So that attention from fighters like Rose, from fighters who are maybe not the best, who haven't got the best skill set in the cage, but was a big following outside of the cage. They can bring that, and obviously
CM Punk versus Mickey Gall. We saw that a little bit. Like after he beat CM Punk, they're like, "Oh, hey, let's look at Mickey Gall. He got a lot of rub off of that." But people are like, "Oh, CM Punk doesn't deserve to be in here." But guess what? He just brought a lot of eyes to Mickey Gall. So I hear what you're saying.
Exactly. Mickey Gall actually used that energy.
I think there's a place for it. Go ahead.
Just to finish my point, because obviously Mickey Gall used that energy a lot better than we'll see what Mike Jackson did. He then used that spotlight to then call out Steve Northcutt, who's obviously got a bit of hype around him. Yeah. He then faced Steve Northcutt and obviously beat him and brought his star a bit higher. So I don't see why fighters in the flyweight division can't obviously do that for themselves and give themselves a bigger platform, like obviously Paige Van Zandt has done.
You got anything, Dan? Are you ready to chime in, Arpit? I know Arpit's ready to drop bombs.
No, man, I want to touch on this UFC thing. Okay. I can see how people think the sky is falling when they look at MMA, because there literally is no big stars out there. We've had a couple big pay-per-views. One was GSP, who ain't coming around anytime soon if you listen to Dana White. The other one was John Jones in DC, and that rematch ain't happening again. So besides that, we haven't had much. And what I see with the UFC is a bunch of people at the top are holding out for money. And so every small level fighter is taking every fight that he's offered, and the middle level guys too are kind of building up. So the middle is coming up to the top right now. You know, the cream's rising to the top, which is nice. We're finding the Colbys and this type of stuff. But in the meantime, the UFC is still having to put on 13 pay-per-views a year. We're getting like 100 to 200,000 buys on that, and they completely botched this whole Fox deal in my mind. That was the time to get the stars on Fox. You know, we started off at 4 million views on Fox, and that dwindled down to like 1 million is what we can average now with live viewers on Fox. We didn't grow the sport, and when you don't grow your fighters before they go on pay-per-view, then that's how you end up with $100,000-$200,000 buys. They don't spend enough time growing these guys. But in the world view, MMA has never been bigger. You got the ONE FCs, the Ryzen is putting on amazing shows. You got ACB, who's completely free, less show, more fights. They fucking get it. Fox, they're struggling because they got so many commercials and shit like that. It's such a weird time. I'm really excited for this ESPN time though, because look at Jose Shorty Torres running Fight Pass, taking over Titan FC, begging to get in the UFC, couldn't get in because apparently Mick Maynard hates him. Finally took a late notice fight, was getting his ass kicked, but then, you know, that crazy knockout fucking suplex, that gets 10 million views on SportsCenter. Now that ESPN is partnered with UFC, we could see easily, like the new year, we could see a 3 to 5 fold in the views of the UFC, just like that. Just with ESPN, SportsCenter, Top 10, all of that. This is the big time. This is where we're really going to see, because I saw them fuck over the Fox deal. Yeah, we're kind of normalized now, so that's cool. But what can we do on ESPN? And the Reebok fucked with everything, but man, it's kind of a good time and a bad time, because the world view of UFC has never been better. But the UFC, if you don't think we can default on this fucking loan and the UFC can go under, you're out of your mind, man, because that is pretty close to fucking happening.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really thought about them defaulting. What would happen if they fucking defaulted on this loan? Like, the UFC just goes under? Like Bellator's number one?
It gets sold for pennies on the dollar, and someone buys it up, and so probably the Fertitas come back and put it back to life again.
That would be the win of the year for the Fertitas. Like, sell you the UFC. You guys don't know what you're doing. All right, we'll take it back off your hands. Like, keep all the money. No, but Dan made some great points there, man. I'm glad Dan's on the call. And as far as Jose Shorty Torres, man, that's another guy. Guy in the flyweight division potentially. Hell, he's flyweight and bantamweight champ over at Titan FC. But dude, that's a guy.
One fight on Fight Pass. The very first fight of it on Fight Pass got him 10 million views on SportsCenter. Like, this is the game changer here. Because when you lose on Fight Pass, this has always been my question. Does it really matter? Cowboy Cerrone loses the till on Fight Pass. He's headlining FS1 cards. People still love him. Rose Namajunas beats Paige Van Zandt on Fight Pass. No, does it really matter? That's what I kind of tend to ask myself. And now with ESPN, it does fucking matter. So I'm excited, man.
Yeah, I am too. It's a great time to be an MMA fan as well. But just with the cards coming up, right? UFC 226. Holy shit. 227 is probably going to be good. And it's, the end of the year. You got the end of the year cards coming up after that. So those aren't going to be affected by ESPN, because the ESPN deal doesn't start till early 2019. But yeah, with the UFC moving to ESPN now, I think it's even a little safer. Like, as you were talking about, the loan could possibly default. I think now that they just signed with ESPN, that's even less likely, and ESPN is potentially even just going to propel it forward. So I think we're pretty safe as of right now. But I mean, worst case scenario could still happen always, of course. Is there anything else anybody wanted to touch upon that topic? I know.
Can I say something? About Ronda Rousey.
What's up? Go ahead.
You were saying that Ronda Rousey is a skillful fighter, but described by her coach.
Describe what?
She was described by her coach. Whatever his name is.
Edmund Targaryen.
Described whatever his name is. That man just hype her up that she can box. And that's the worst part. That's the beginning. That's the beginning of her hand of her MMA. That's the beginning of end of her beginning of her MMA career because she can't. And she fought with a boxer, and she was totally exposed. There, there's layers of MMA, and you can't jump on somebody like oh I'm a boxer right now. No, you can't. You are a judo player. You should be act like if Ronda Rousey try to judo try to that same Ronda Rousey that try to break your arm off. That fight with Holly Holm, who knows the answer? Maybe she see a different fight, a different result. But no, she was trying to box with a boxer. That's why she lose.
She tried to pull a Nick Diaz, man. She hung out with the Diaz bros. Nick Diaz is the best fighter because he will fight your fight better than you can do it. And she tried doing that. It didn't work.
Didn't work. And she's not a boxer. She's a she was made for believe by her coach that you can box, but she can't. She's a judo player. If she tried that judo thing with Holly Holm, maybe she'd win. She didn't try. She tried to box with Holly Holm, the boxer, and she was. I was watching that fight, and I was like, oh, there goes Ronda Rousey.
Now her be getting amped on that WMMA. My boy be dropping bombs. What's up? I see Stamina MC in the building. He said, for fuck's sake, my notifications are racist. I hear you, brother. Gary Kidger Jr. in the building. Head movement. I see you, man. Good to see you made a live chat. I know you've been trying to the last few days. All right, so as far as is there any other topics you guys want to touch on this Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series before we get out of here tonight? What do you guys going to be watching?
Yes. Yep, I'm watching, but I want to say something. Anthony is fighting at 125.
You want to say what? I'm just going to let you guys know, to be honest. I already have bad hearing as it is, and now I've only got one headphone in because the other side's shorted out. So I'm having a little hard time, like, understanding. So that's, yeah, if I don't respond, that's probably what's going on. Go ahead. I mean, I understand everybody else, but our pit's a little hard in my ear. Go ahead, brother.
The Bullet Sister. The Antina, the Bullet Sister, what her name is, Antina Shevchenko, the other sister of the big sister of Bullet.
You talking about Antonia Shevchenko?
She fights in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, she doesn't fight today, but she is going to be on Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series.
Is she fighting in 135 or 125?
125, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure 125.
She's a flyweight. Yeah.
Which is interesting because now Valentina's at 125. Well, you know, I'm sure.
No, she's a big girl. She should be in 135, and she's I think she should. If she goes 135, she will be big threat to Amanda Nunes.
I mean, yeah, I think that could for sure be a move for her because I don't think it's going to be a good idea to stay at 125 too long, right? Because a lot of us look at that as Valentina Shevchenko's division. After Valentina Shevchenko fights Nico Montano, she could very well be the champion for a long time. And so if her sister comes over, well, you know, why would you want to be in your sister's division? You know, just sit there in the top 5 or something. So maybe she gets her feet wet at 125 and then, you know, moves up to 135 possibly. Or something like that. But yeah, that would be weird for her. I know they wouldn't fight, but yeah, that would just be weird for them to both be in the same division. But yeah, Antonia Shevchenko is not fighting tonight. Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series does start tonight. The star of the night for sure tonight is going to be this Greg Hardy versus Austin Lane. But still, I mean, I'm just hyped that Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series is back low key. Are you plan on watching the Contender Series at all, Dan, from Oregon or Forward Thinking? I mean, there ain't no other fights for like 2 weeks. Well, there are, but not UFC. But yeah, I know my boy Dan from Oregon. He be watching the ACB. I'm telling you, he's on all of it. I'll be going into his live streams out sometime. Make sure you subscribe to Dan from Oregon. But he be watching the ACBs, doing live fight companions, like all of them, like all the different fucking organizations. I don't even know when they're on. I'll go over there. He'll be watching ACB, the motherfucking ROC. I don't even know them all.
Yo, there's nothing
I'm gone.
You first, Forward.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously UK time. That fact, that fight card's gonna be on at around what 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. So I don't know, man. I normally save my mornings for
Okay.
only like the pay-per-views if I want to watch UFC, but I might stay up and watch it. You never know. I'll definitely catch it in the morning. So,
So yeah, maybe
but
you can
yeah,
catch it in the morning.
yeah, there's definitely some good fights though. I'm definitely interested in Curtis and obviously Lane fight. So it's gonna be good.
Man, I missed all last season. I didn't see any of the contenders, but I look at the cards and I watch all these guys making their way into the UFC. So I'm like, fuck,
Okay.
I gotta catch this shit. And as far as Greg Hardy, the only thing I'm excited for this, if Greg Hardy gets a win or lose in the Black Beast's next fight,
Derek Lewis.
he's calling this motherfucker out. He knows this is a draw. He knows it doesn't matter this guy's experience level. He goes in there and beats this woman beater's ass, and fucking dude, they can't deny the Black Beast. Derek Lewis.
Yo,
at that point, you can't deny him. You can't
Derek
down.
Lewis, bro. I
take
hope he
those.
does that.
I agree
That would
with
be
him.
so
I
fucking
agree with
epic.
him.
Like fuck everything else. I don't even care about like Derek Lewis could be calling for a title shot with the win over Ngannou, but hey, fuck that. Greg Hardy, like, just sidetrack. Fuck moving up. I want to fight Greg Hardy. That's the money fight. That's the real money fight.
100% more than Stipe all day long. Greg Hardy makes the Black Beast the star.
Oh, Greg Hardy versus the Black Beast. Let's fucking go. 2019 on ESPN. Is Greg Hardy coming back to ESPN in the form of the UFC?
The UFC needs to steer into these guys more. They need to steer into the all Iaquintas who calls out the crowd and says "fuck you" to the crowd. That's it. That's a money maker right there. They need to steer into that. It took them so long to actually give out the title shot, off of a happenstance, and now he's gonna fight Justin Gaethje. That main event is one of the most exciting fights I can see coming up. But dude, I don't know if you pay attention to MMA Today. They're kind of one of the sites that. They pay attention to all the other shit, not just UFC. Someone put an opinion out there that said GSP should get the title shot over Colby Covington. That was one of their opinions.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of fucking nuts, but the whole thing, if you read the article, they said that it's because GSP's so goddamn old, we need to move the welterweight division forward, which it really hasn't done since GSP's loss. So that fight can really help us do that. And in the happenstance, Colby can get a little better, get some more experience to maybe actually take out Woodley. What do you guys think of that take?
I hear that take, but my thing is now he's the interim champion, and that makes it hard. But I mean, with the UFC, interim champion's not a guarantee. We saw what happened with Tony Ferguson's interim belt. Now, barring that was an injury, but my thought has always been the interim champion guarantees you fight. That's literally why they make the interim belt. It's like a guaranteed title shot next. So for me, it's always weird thinking of somebody else like jumping the interim champion. But as far as GSP is concerned, I mean, I would like to see him come back. I really think, as to what you were saying, that would help the division move forward, right? Because a lot of people still look at GSP as the uncrowned welterweight king. Now, he fought in the welterweight division. If he won, it would let everybody know that's the truth, and he could become a champion. And then if he wanted to go do another super fight at 155 or wherever, he's got his welterweight belt back. But if he happened to lose at welterweight, it would let the welterweight division move on and let everybody know, and now it's a new day at welterweight. It's officially a new day. And then he could still possibly go fight at 155. But as far as GSP is concerned, I've been hearing a lot of, the rumors of him fighting at lightweight and being interested in fighting at lightweight. But yeah, I think welterweight would, is more likely. We've never seen him do that. We've never seen GSP make it to 155, even though that's where the super fights are and the big fights. But yeah, man, as far as fighting Tyron, I'd be down for GSP versus Tyron for sure, just to move the let everyone know where the welterweight division is at today. I like that idea as well. So see what Arpit and Forward have to think about or say about it.
Yeah, I like the idea of GSP going back to welterweight and obviously fighting Woodley. But the only thing for me is I'd rather see him go down to 155. Now that's if he can make it, because we don't need another Romero situation where you're not making a title weight. But if you can get to 155, and let's say Conor can be fighting at MSG at the end of this year, and then obviously the winner, let's say Conor wins, and it's Conor versus GSP. Now that's a fight that we all thought we would never actually see, but to see it at 155, I mean, there will never ever be a bigger fight in UFC history other than Conor versus GSP. Imagine if we put that in Canada as well. So for me, I know exactly in Canada. Just imagine, like, I think that would be the fight. I think the UFC would probably guarantee, because if you remember, when Conor fought Diaz the first time, and obviously GSP was cage side, I'm pretty sure after if Conor won that fight, GSP was gonna step in that cage and they were gonna make that fight right there and there. So yeah, definitely I would like to see him at 155, because 170 is finally, actually, in my opinion, I think it's finally settled since GSP's left. Now they got a dominant champion in the sense in Woodley. He's kind of coupled out with defenses. You got a challenger people are actually interested in Covington. So now that they can actually have that fight, maybe Covington wins, which I don't see. They can have maybe 2 or 3 fights back to back. So, and obviously you got challenges coming up. So I think GSP's already done his part at welterweight. He's obviously done his part at middleweight, which he doesn't want any business going there. So maybe him going to 155 makes the best sense for him and for the UFC as a whole as well.
Yeah, and it's also where those biggest fights are too. What do you guys think of? I'll see what Art has to say first, but what about that fucking lightweight mini tournament? Like, the winners of that would have been a huge fight. Like, winners of the first round. Like, let's say GSP got through Diaz, and then Conor got through Habib, and then GSP and Conor are fighting each other after that. Oh, that would have been crazy.
Oh, amazing, man.
All right, so RP, what do you think about GSP coming back at 170 and skipping possibly Kobe Covington? What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, that's going to be amazing, man. That's going to be amazing. That's going to be amazing.
GSP versus Woodley?
Yeah, well, no. That's going to be like chess game. Who's a great wrestler like that? But Kobe versus GSP, I like that.
Yeah, you said Kobe versus GSP. We're saying what if GSP came and skipped Kobe? Kobe's the interim champion, but there's people that what about? Do you think GSP versus Woodley should happen before Woodley versus Covington? Like GSP coming through and fighting Woodley next.
Oh, that would be amazing too. I think that will be good. But I like to see Kobe versus GSP. I don't know why, but I want to see it.
Yeah, that's what I thought about after you said that. Like, if Kobe beat Tyron, and then we could possibly looking at Kobe versus GSP instead of Tyron versus GSP. He already started going in on GSP a little bit. I don't even know what the fuck a Serb sucker is, but I know in one of his recent interviews he called him like a Serb sucking Canadian. And I was like, I don't know what that is, but it sounds racist. I literally don't know what a Serb sucker is, but Kobe's already started.
Before we go, I can about one topic it is an old topic. I think who should Megan Anderson fight next? It is Leah or Cindy? Who should Megan fight next? Leah or Cindy or GDR?
We're going back. Who gonna fight next? And I heard you say GDR.
I'm asking you, who should Megan Anderson fight next?
Megan Anderson. Okay, yeah.
We're focusing on winners right now, armpit, not losers.
Yeah. We're talking about Kobe, GSP, and Tyron. Holy shit, the losers of the featherweight division. That was a good one.
Oh, shit.
I'm just asking that who should fight next, Leah Leston or GDR?
No, honestly, I think that's the perfect fight, man, for Megan Anderson. If it's going to be anybody, if it's going to be in the UFC, if GDR is interested, I think that's a great fight because it'd be, we'd see where they're both at as far as the featherweight striking is concerned. I mean, you wouldn't expect it to go to grappling, which we didn't expect from Holly Holm versus Megan Anderson, but maybe one of them decides, hey, everyone's expecting a striking match. Now I'm going to do a Holly Holm and fucking put on my wrestling shoes and go to work. You wouldn't expect that, but I would like to see that fight. I'll say that. I mean, GDR versus Megan Anderson. Is GDR still in the UFC? Like, literally, has she fought since Holly Holm?
I mean, I think she's busy being a I mean, she made the excuse about her arm being broken or whatever, and then she's ended up being a police officer by the end of the year. So I think she's built.
I'm hearing some.
I'm clicking on her name now just to see her last fight was that Holly Holm fight.
Dude, the UFC has offered her. You know how they got to offer fighters fights all the time, like 2 or 3 a year. They've offered her a cyborg fight over and over and over again, and they're not going to give her any other fight. They're not. Dude, they can hardly get fights for everybody on their roster. Like, you see names that people don't care about. They don't book them.
Yeah,
Sam
there are
Alvey's, people that stand out get fights. Mike Perry, Sam Alvey, they're not the best, but we fucking know them.
Yeah.
And they like to fight, so they put them in fights.
Fuck yeah, I love Smiling Sam Alvey. Who is it that he's supposed to be fighting next? I know he called out Corey Anderson, but it didn't work out. But someone just won at UFC 225. A middleweight that moved up to light heavyweight, and they got a W.
The one that beat Rashad
Smith.
Anthony Smith. Yeah, I'm into that fight. Sam Alvey versus Anthony Smith. Let's go. Yeah, both of those guys. But yeah,
that
for
Smith
sure.
Guy's
Man.
from Nebraska too, and he wants him in Lincoln.
Ooh,
so that is a great
hot.
fight.
That's the Gaethje card if it goes to.
That's got the Midwest written all over it. I'm down for that. I
want
to go back in
the Midwest. That would be crazy if I could go to that.
I want to be clear though. I think it's 100% the time for Woodley versus Colby. And you go and look at their tweets that they put out. Woodley put out that tweet. It's almost got 10,000 likes. No one gets that amount of likes unless you're fucking Conor McGregor or maybe like John Jones, you know? I don't even know if John gets that many. And then Colby put out his, and he's got 10,000 likes, man, about, you know, he put MAGA in it, gonna take it to Trump and all that shit. that picture.
I just went to Tyron Woodley's Twitter. He's got like, if he dies, he dies. On quote. If he dies, he dies. Yo,
so it's 100% time for that fight. Here's my take, though. I think this whole lightweight thing, I've always been for more divisions, but this seemed like a no-brainer to me. If you don't want to fuck with any division, you make that for the 165 title, this whole tournament you're doing with Habib, Conor, GSP, and every media person, though, like, people hate Nate Diaz because he's got a big name. That was the only name in that tournament that they thought was illegitimate. And I thought Colby should be in that tournament, or the winner of RDA and Colby. They're a true 165er. And if Colby won, he might get a big enough name if he goes and visits Trump to where maybe you could insert him in that tournament. But at this point in time, he has to do the Woodley fight. If the Woodley fight, I mean, I think the best thing the UFC could do would make 165 and 175, because think about when the WEC and the UFC merged. We had Anthony Pettis come over as champion, and we lost that champion versus champion matchup because we had a trilogy with like Frankie Edgar and Gray Maynard going on at the time. And then Strikeforce merges with the UFC at 155. And Gilbert Melendez never got his immediate super fight champion versus champion matchup. It's because 170 and 155 have been so stacked for so long. And if you want to pull it up full time, who was it? That guy, that really young dude that writes, Nick Baldwin. He wrote an article for Bloody Elbow about why the 165-pound division should come out. And the most glaring fact that I saw in there was those two divisions compose 30% of the roster. 30% of the roster.
And they're stacked as fuck, man.
Yeah, if you're a guy in that division and you got to wait so long to get your title shot, you know, as everyone's mentioned, the Tony Ferguson, dude, 11 fucking wins in a row before he gets a title shot. And now he's, you know, kind of interim champ, but not really. You know?
That's so fucked up. Like, he went through that 11-fight win streak, and then he's still, like, not the champ. He just, that's crazy, dog.
So, man, I think if Colby goes and sets the belt on Trump's desk, Tyron and Colby are going to become two of the biggest fighters in the UFC after that fight takes them in. So no matter what, you take those two guys, no matter what the outcome is, you split them in different divisions. That could be epic. And if they end up champions in each division again, then you can do a super fight. Like, put them in. It all goes with having safer weight cuts. And you got to use – this is all an Andy Foster plan if you look into it. He's the athletic director of the California State Athletic Commission. He wants these weight classes and a 10% max cut, which you look at the crazy cuts that guys are doing, dude. Yoel Romero's cutting 20% of his weight. Megan Anderson, Cyborg, Derek Till's cutting 20% of his weight. The names go on and on. It could be a little safer if we had a little bit more divisions.
I agree, and I like these divisions. I like specific. I don't want to see a division because, you know, in boxing, what is it, like every 7 pounds or something? Like I like the weight divisions every 10 pounds, like the 165, I think, especially where we're at right now with these stacked 170 and 155 divisions. The 165, 175, I like it every 10 pounds, but I just wonder if it's going to eventually, like, 5 years from now, are we going to say, hey, man, what about every 7 pounds, or every 5 pounds? Because as a casual boxing fan, that's one of the things that kind of turns me away from getting super into the sport is all the different weight classes and belts. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck's going on over there to try and jump in. So I wouldn't want it to dilute the UFC, but I do agree, especially at 165 and 175, that would shake everything completely up. I think it would change things. Like, Nick Diaz, who fights at welterweight right now, could potentially make 165, but Tyron Woodley probably couldn't, so he'd be at 175. So, I think it shakes things up. It makes for new fights, refreshes things, and it's also healthier as far as, it could be, because now we'll know, because like what you said, Andy Foster, he wants a certain amount of percentage of people cutting their weight. So I was going to say, what if now Tyron, who was making 170, is like, ooh, instead of going up to 175, I should try 165, and he's cutting more weight. You wouldn't want to see that. Yeah.
He's already said he can't go lower. But I think you definitely put in a caveat there. Like, whatever current champion, he gets an asterisk. You're not going to move him a division just because he's cutting more than 10% of his weight. But, man, like, this is the solution. It's not to move the weigh-ins back to 4 p.m. It's fucking get them off their 20% cuts that they're doing. I don't know who put this fact out there, but Yoel Romero came in 6 pounds heavier than he showed up to Perth.
Yeah,
But Perth is in Australia and they do later weigh-ins. So he cut more. I don't even know. He cut more weight this time, but had less time. So that's like Dana White's only thought there. It's fucking weird, man.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one thing that's one thing I don't know how I feel about this moving back to the ceremonial weigh-ins. Like, I hear both sides and I'm seeing both sides, and honestly, it's looking like the reason they moved them to early weigh-ins in the first place was for the health of the fighters. People, the doctors recommended it. And in the beginning, it was going well, but now, like Dana White came out and said, but now people are starting to try and take advantage of this situation, and we're seeing way more fighters miss weight, which is also true. But is that just the unprofessional fighters? Because, that's what some people feel like. Oh, people are being punished for the unprofessional fighters. But if you listen to Yoel Romero's team on the MMA Hour yesterday, they actually sounded like they strategically had a fucking plan to take advantage of those 2 hours. They're like, we knew if we were only 3 pounds, if we missed weight by under 3 pounds, we got an additional 2 hours. So we thought, why make weight by 9 a.m. when we actually have until 11 a.m. for a championship fight, as long as we miss weight the first time barely. So it's like they intentionally tried, like Dana White was talking about, tried to game the system to have an extra 2 hours to cut weight. And you know what I'm saying? And then he ended up missing weight. The commission stopped him, and he still wasn't on weight. So I see both sides, but it seems like as far as what's going to happen, Dana White's pretty set in stone, and we're going back. But to what you're saying, maybe we just add these damn weigh-ins. We've been talking about it for a while now. The commission approved it a while back. We've seen fighters coming out, hey, I'm all the way down. Let's add these new weight classes. Kevin Lee, fighters that have missed weight for the first time in their career. How about these new weight classes? 165 would really be, you know what I'm saying? So, I wonder when that would happen, like new weight classes and stuff like that. But yeah, that definitely seems like something they could be looking at instead of pissing all the fighters off by moving the weigh-ins back, right? Because there's not a lot of fighters coming out and saying, yes, ceremonial weigh-ins, we have less time to rehydrate. It's fucking awesome.
For sure. Actually, let me just put a quick point to you guys, because obviously we've obviously been talking about the evolution of MMA and obviously more divisions. Have you guys ever thought about there basically being more champions in a division as like there is boxing? Because obviously I don't like the idea of there being 4 champions as there are in boxing, but imagine in the UFC there are maybe 2 belts that you have to get. So because you can obviously see in divisions like lightweight and obviously welterweight, there's a lot of championship level fighters. Yeah. And I think it just maybe add a little bit more entertainment to it, where you're going to see more unification fights, more undisputed champions. And then when you actually become undisputed champion, it's more of a bigger weight to it, rather than you just picking up a belt here and there. Like sometimes you need to be getting out.
See, I think we kind of already have that with the interim belts. You know,
but interims aren't as often, or they don't come as they don't come as often as obviously like when we just get undisputed championships that are obviously. Yeah.
And then you see with the interim belt, you know, you could have an interim champion, Tony Ferguson, and we never see the unification bout because we got our eyes on McGregor versus Habib. No one's really complaining about that, you know, because that's such an amazing fight. But still, Tony Ferguson's sitting down there without his belt on an 11-fight winning streak. You know what I'm saying? Like, damn, what about me? But I got to admit, I want to see Conor versus Habib.
Can I say something?
Yeah, what's up?
Tony. I think Tony Ferguson is I like he just did it to himself. He was training like an idiot, throwing his legs on steel pipe. That's gonna happen to him. He did it to himself. Do you watch his training video? That when he's throwing kicks to on steel pipe.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time hearing right now. But
he's talking about when he was kicking the steel pipe.
Oh,
that was before the Kevin Lee fight.
Yeah,
that was before the Kevin Lee fight.
That was an old video, but still.
He did it to himself. He did it to himself. He did it to himself, and he should blame him. He should blame himself that he is right now. Right now nobody considers him as a fighter in lightweight. That's the reason he did it to himself.
Yeah, the timing of that video coming out.
Yeah, you know what the most interesting thing about Tony is obviously he's making a really speedy recovery. No one's really talked about who his comeback fight's going to be because he can't fight Lee again because we don't really want to see that fight straight away again. It's going to be Conor versus Khabib. So I'm thinking, who else could he fight? Because we've already seen Alvarez facing up against
like Ally Quinta.
The winner of that.
Yeah, the winner of that.
Alvarez Poirier.
Yeah,
Alvarez Poirier.
Yeah, go on.
I was looking at that, dude. Okay, because I'm going to UFC Boise, and it is a sold-out card. And UFC Utica didn't even sell out. And so I'm wondering, how good are these other cards doing? And Poirier versus Alvarez is not selling good at all up in Calgary. I just wanted to throw that out there.
That whole card is insane.
It's insane, but the Canadians aren't buying it. Like, I think the UFC, I wish they would lower their prices a little bit and completely jam-pack their stadiums because I don't know where you're from over there. You kind of sound like from the UK or something, but Darren Till, they only fit 8,500 people in there, and they could have fit 11,000 in Liverpool.
Exactly, because they could fill stadiums easily in the UK, especially like let's say Anfield or Goodison Park. Easily, the fans here are crazy. We're literally gonna go up to any fight, no matter what. So it could easily fill stadiums, but the pricing is very, very high. So it isn't the best format. But hopefully they fix it with the ESPN deal coming through. So I hope they can find a way to fix it.
I wonder if that's what's going on with the Calgary card because that don't make sense. That Calgary card is insane. That's the one with Stevens versus Aldo. Joanna's fighting her first non-title fight in forever.
Yeah. It just doesn't have a Canadian. They just don't have a Canadian.
Maybe that's what it is. Well, they had some. Let me pull it up. I know they have some Canadian talent. Definitely not their headliner though.
No, they do have a Canadian.
They have Canadian talent. They have Canadian talent on the card. Yeah, but maybe it's just since it's not the main event. But yeah, no, not even just. They've got other fighters. Random Marcos, just off the top of my head. Jordan Maine.
I'm just talking about a big one because
like a headliner.
Brazil's hurt for stars, and Rory McDonald's over in Bellator doing his thing. I love that guy.
Yeah, this is a card that I think the fans around the world are more interested in than possibly just the Canadian fans, like that would be buying the tickets. But I think this is a card that, as far as numbers on TV is concerned and people watching around the world, this is one of the better cards you could have on.
I take that back.
All the way through.
They got the Canadian gangster right there, OAB. Exactly. He might be blowing up. He sports fanny packs and shit, and so if you sport a fanny pack, that might get you on the Joe Rogan MMA show.
Oh, let's go! Hell yeah, I'm gonna start rocking a fanny pack too. But this card is stacked. All the way down, right? You got Dewadu. You got some good fights, in my opinion, all the way down, all the way starting at the Fight Pass prelims. Moving up, Jordan Maine, OAM versus Hernandez. That's a good-ass fight right there. OAM versus Alex Hernandez, one of my favorite fights on the card. Both of them just bursted into the top 15 with very impressive performances. Olivier Albin Mercier knocked out Evan Dunham in the first round, if I'm not mistaken. And Alex Hernandez did the same thing to
Dariush.
Beneil Dariush, yeah. So both, I love this fight. This is July 28th, so what is that, next month? Yeah. But that's going to be a good card, man, and I don't even know if it's full yet. This is Dana White's birthday weekend. I remember he was talking about it.
Yeah, wait, just put this question out there. Do you guys think that Alvarez or the winner of Alvarez Poirier would actually take a fight with Ferguson rather than waiting for a title shot? Because I don't know. I feel like Poirier has fought a lot of number one contendership fights now.
See, that would be a weird situation because I'm sure Poirier and Ferguson would like to wait on a title shot, right? Because I don't think Ferguson would just want to fight Poirier. He had the interim belt. He probably wants to fight Khabib or Conor when he comes back. But it might be a situation where, like, listen, I know both of you guys feel like you deserve a title shot, and that's why you got to fight because we need to know who. Like, we need to know. We don't know who. So, but yeah, as far as what's going on right now, hell, there's even talks of GSP could skip both of these guys. So they might have to fight while we figure out Conor versus Khabib. Is GSP coming to lightweight? Are we gonna have a fucking mini tournament? Like, you know, in the meantime, these are the kind of guys that are like the best in the world, but they can probably get shafted. Kind of like what Arpit was talking about earlier. It's not about, you know, yeah, you beat 3 top 5 guys in Dustin Poirier. Yeah, you were the interim champion, Tony Ferguson, but we got some plans up here with this belt right now. You know, like, yeah, it doesn't. I don't even know if it matters if Dustin Poirier wins. I don't know if he's going to be able to wait for a title shot with this specific division because what's going on at the top with Khabib and Ramadan and Conor and the Dollies and GSP and all of that stuff.
Even Kevin Lee. We've even sleeping on Kevin Lee.
Even Kevin Lee, man. This fucking lightweight division. Oh, my God.
Can I say something?
Yeah, what's up?
Can I say something? I always was talking about this. Why not we can, like, Conor McGregor with Tony Ferguson and winner gets Khabib?
Conor McGregor versus Tony Ferguson, winner gets Khabib. I don't think the UFC is going to book Conor in a non-title fight. Like, maybe they'd have to do it for an interim championship.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
That's a
Conor
joke.
versus, yeah, I don't know if the UFC would even. I don't know. Like, if Conor's coming back, I think he just gets the title shot.
Connor's fighting Nate.
Because look, this is what happened. This is what I'll say, RP. Because look, what if Conor loses to Tony Ferguson? What if? You know, I'm not saying it's guaranteed, but you just lost out on Conor McGregor versus Khabib because you wanted to play with Conor versus Ferguson. Like, Conor versus Khabib is already selling pay-per-views, breaking records. And then so why risk that? You know, if you're a business, you could potentially lose out on a huge Conor versus Khabib fight if Ferguson beat McGregor.
I agree with that. I think but I'm thinking about that. But we can get 2 super fights. But I agree with you.
Okay.
Hey, I just thought of something, man.
What's up?
Dude, this whole 4-person lightweight tournament, the GSP getting leaked that he's fighting Nate Diaz, that was 100% bullshit, dude. Conor, if he's gonna potentially
be careful. That came from Dana White.
Yeah.
Careful.
Conor would fight Nate because neither of those guys are wrestlers. And Conor is a smart enough dude to know if I put fucking Khabib and GSP together,
that's taking out one of the wrestlers.
That's going to take out one of the wrestlers. And then the next guy I fight is the biggest motherfucker in the UFC, hands down. Mm-hmm. And so he would go easy fight Diaz, biggest fight he could fucking do. And then the next fight would be the biggest one. But then you got fucking Dana White out there saying, GSP can't go get an automatic title shot against Khabib. He's got to fight somebody first. It's like, what the fuck, Dana?
Yeah, that's why he was going to make, that's why Dana said GSP versus Diaz. Like, everyone else was like, what? GSP versus Diaz? What's really going on? But, yeah, that was the plan.
Dude,
yeah,
Project Spearhead going through could be the best thing that ever happened because you could have the CEO out there, Dana White, and he has to deal with the UFC fighters president, Al Iaquinta, and Al Iaquinta ain't taking no fucking shit from Dana White, dude. He's going to get everything the fighters want. And, man, if these guys got paid legit money, they would fight fucking anybody. They would fight.
I know. See,
none of this. If I
think
win,
it's the
I
other
get
way
double the
around.
money. If I win, I get double. Yeah, it's because you got their fucking purses set up that way, man. You pay them $1 million no matter what, and then they know next fight they're not going to get fucked into some bullshit contract. You just, fucking.
Yeah. Like when these fighters are taking fights, people expect them just to do anything. Like take the fight. But you got to realize this literally is like a chess. It's chess for them. It's not just fighting. It's literally their business. I need to try and get to the title shot if I want to get to the money, because as of right now, if you're not a champion, you're not getting paid what people probably feel like they deserve. So they're feeling like I've got to be smart with what fights I take. And that's why you're starting to see like people cherry picking or doing whatever because they're trying to be smart. Like whenever you have Darren Till saying, yeah, I'll fight Kamaru Usman, but his team is like, hold on, that might not be the best fight. Like Darren Till's like, I'll fight this guy. But it's like, no. Let's try and get you to the title as fast as possible. We don't have to take the hard route all the time. But I agree, man. As far as I think as far as the fighters are concerned, and maybe even for the fans, Project Spearhead could help, but it doesn't get a lot of fucking traction for whatever reason. Like, we're just on YouTube talking about it, and it seems like it could be a good idea. But the biggest sites, and like the MMA fightings and MMA junkies and stuff like that, like those are really what's going to disseminate that message, because it's going to be hard to get that's the thing about Project Spearhead. This isn't a team sport. How are you going to get these people, like, some of these guys fucking hate each other and you're trying to get them on the same board. This is an individual sport. Or if you're a guy that's already went through the bullshit of figuring out how to get paid, now you're a champion. How do you get that guy to say, oh, now I got to fucking risk everything? Like, let's say a Tyron Woodley. He feels like he hasn't been able to get money fights, none of this shit. So now he's on TMZ. He's got to fight with Colby Covington. You expect him to come back and circle back for everybody when he felt like everyone was shitting on him on the way up. So you're going to need these biggest stars and champions. If you're ever going to fucking you have to have the biggest stars. And Conor McGregor, he's probably, if you're Conor, I'm at the top of the game. Am I supposed to fucking risk everything for all these guys, especially considering a lot of the fighters, have said disrespectful shit because it's a fight game? Like, you expect Tyron Woodley to fight for Colby Covington or any of these Brazilian fighters to stick up for his, It's a really weird situation, but I agree. I really think Project Spearhead could kind of even things out.
I want to make one point, and I think this one point, if it got made to every fighter, it would make fucking sense to them. You could tell every fighter in the UFC, you're here for two fucking reasons. These are the only reasons. You're either here to be the best in the world or make a shitload of fucking money, right? Mm-hmm. And they'll say, yeah. Like, do you realize that Demetrius Johnson makes less money than CM Punk? Do you guys see a problem? That's why we need to get together. That's what I would tell them. Like, it don't matter. You could be the best in the world. You could get an Xbox sponsorship, be a gamer, have your own thing outside of the octagon and everything. But if your fucking promoter, the guy whose job is to make you fucking marketable and, get your name out there, if he can't get your name out there, then what are we fucking doing here, man? Like that, if DJ doesn't make as much as CM Punk, do you guys think we need a fucking union? Do you think we need a union, guys?
Hell, if there's a union, CM Punk might not even make it to the fucking octagon. They might have a say on that.
I think there's fighters that see the value. They'll see the value. That's a lot of eyes and all that shit. So I'm not saying that's not going to happen, but we're not going to see DJ getting fucked over like he is, man. Dude, they stole Xbox from him. That's fucking insane.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of that whole sponsorship thing. And, yeah, there's a lot of stuff. Like, these early weigh-ins, this would be a bigger deal. Like, it wouldn't be just Dana White coming out and saying fucking, no, we're going back. Next question. Like, yeah, we've interviewed everyone. Next question. It'd be literally a discourse every time. It'd be the fighter. Like, you see a lot of fighters coming out and saying, no, don't punish us. It would literally legitimately be your defense. Like, Project Spearhead would come through and say, listen, we're not cool with this, Can
I say something about fighter union?
What's up?
I want to say that it is easy to say that, but who will come to fight? Who will come forward to join the fighter union? Tell me, nobody. Nobody wants to get thrown out from UFC. Leslie Smith was trying to get fighter union together. She was thrown out by UFC. So
also,
nobody backed her. Nobody backed her. Everybody knows that if they try something else, Dana White will. You are not deserved to get out.
Yeah, but and also
That's
like
the fact.
you saw what happened with Leslie Smith, right? Like there could be
That's what I'm
like if you come out trying to rile up the Project Spearhead, you could potentially lose your job, right? That's another thing. Like there's probably a lot of fighters that realize, we probably should sign up, but they probably fear the repercussions. Like, damn, I could be Bellator bound if I voice my support for Project Spearhead. Be a lot of fighters potentially on the chopping block if you can't get the biggest stars in on it. Now if Conor McGregor came out and said, yo, Project Spearhead needs to happen, that's a different story. The UFC is clearly not going to cut Conor McGregor. If Yair Rodriguez comes out and says it, you know what the fuck's going to happen. You literally have to be the biggest stars or you can face being cut like a Yair.
Yep.
All he did was say hashtag fake news. He didn't even come out and say, hey, everybody, we're getting fucked over this way, and that way. We need Project Spearhead for this reason and this reason. He just said hashtag fake news. So you're going to need a Nate Diaz or a Conor McGregor. The guys that aren't going to get cut, they're literally going to have to head this thing. They're going to have to be the spearhead of this thing, no pun intended, because anyone else can literally get cut.
That's the problem with the UFC, and that's the problem with Dana White. They are not promoting their fighter properly, and that's why I'm saying is that UFC right now they can go up or they can go down.
Yeah, it could definitely. But and that's to what Dan from Oregon was saying earlier as well. Like, don't think this thing can't just fucking default and go under. There's a lot of stuff could come crashing down, but. With that being said, like this Project Spearhead thing, it's going to take a while. It's going to take unity, which is harder to get in a team. This isn't a team sport even. This is an individual sport. And now this is I'm not a huge boxing fan. Does boxing have anything like this, like a Project Spearhead? I'm not sure because I would compare MMA probably more to boxing than an NFL or an NBA where they have like unions and stuff. So you'd have to kind of look at boxing. Does boxing have any kind of – I know they've got protections like the Ali Acts and stuff that Randy Couture's working to get passed over to MMA. But as far as like a union type deal, does boxing have anything like that? If anybody knows, I mean, I don't. So
I don't know about a union. I know that they make – in comparison, what I heard is the fighters make about 80% of the revenue generated, and then the promoter gets 20%. And from what I understand with the UFC is ranking in at least 90%, and the fighters make maybe 10%.
Yeah, those splits are insane.
Let me break down Project Spearhead just so I know a lot of UFC fighters watch this stream, so I don't want to put any fake news out there. If you sign an authorization card,
I didn't even know that,
and you want to join, that's completely unanimous. It's only the people that want to get on the board, so to say, become a president or board member, then your name gets out there public. So only Leslie Smith, Cajun Johnson, and Ally Kenta have came out really massively publicly, and they're backed with these motherfuckers. But the other way, we don't know when they get enough people to join or not, because then once they do that, they're going to take it to the UFC, and if they're smart, that'll happen behind closed doors, and then they don't even have to unionize. They can just get a better deal than what they have right now, like by coming together. So there's all sorts of possibilities.
Yeah, I agree. I think that time is coming, though. I think I would hope that time, fighters. But like you said, it's gonna have to be behind closed door. Get organized behind closed doors type shit, and then come out when you've got a majority of the roster. Like, hey, we've got 90% of the fighters that are on our side, and if you guys don't, just give into this demand, and that's what happened. I'll say from the NBA, the lockout, and that's what I have to refer to because that's my experience. I've seen, the NBA went through a lockout and it was just for a small amount of time. It's like, hey, we're serious about this. We are organized about this. If we don't get what we're asking for, then there's not going to be an NBA. You guys are missing out on money, and you might not get everything you ask for, but it's still something to fight with. And that's one thing I wanted to bring up, like a Mark Hunt lawsuit type deal. That might be something that, might get ran. And I just thought about this earlier. It's kind of a little bit of a topic switch, but any of these situations where it's fighter against the UFC, that's where this would come in and help.
I think if there is a fire, there is a smoke, and I think certain amount of fighters are gathering up about this Project Spearhead. What do you say?
I think this weigh-in thing might really be a tipping point It could be something so
Straw
small
that
as
breaks
this.
the camel's back.
Yeah, man, maybe it is. Maybe it's just because did you listen to Ally Kenta on the fight night? He's talking about, you know what? I'm going to weigh in the morning. And then Ariel's antagonizing him. He's like, what about other people? Are you going to get other people to do it? He's like, I'm going to weigh in the morning, and I'll talk to some other guys. And you know what? He's like, even Justin Gaethje, my opponent, I think he'll want to weigh in the morning with me.
Well, but it doesn't.
Fucking gold.
But I thought, but this is the thing, though. What happened? I mean, yeah, if Justin Gaethje wants to do it with you, I get it. But so what happens when you show up to the ceremonial weigh-ins rehydrated, like Ally Quinta, 172 pounds, like
No. So the big thing though is because Dana White is talking like he just controls this fucking shit.
Oh yeah, no, the way he was talking was
weight...
kind of disrespectful or dismissive. Like, listen, next question, it's going back.
Yeah, go read Andy Foster's 10-point plan because UFC 227 is in California. And Andy Foster isn't going to bend over for Dana White, just like he wants him to.
How soon was Dana White talking about doing this? Like the next fucking event? Like,
dude, he said it's happening. It's happening.
Yeah, I heard
right?
him, like, I didn't know if it was coming into place in 2019 with the ESPN deal, or is he talking about like tomorrow, motherfucker, ceremonial weigh-ins?
Well, all Andy Foster has to do, if you get Nevada. Well, Nevada is actually in a hard place right now because New York is getting all the good cards. So I see Nevada hopping on board with it. But yeah, if California and New York could hold out, that could change shit. So we'll see what happens there, man. I hope that's what the fighters do. They reach out to the commissions and like fucking tell them what's going on or something.
Yeah, man.
I think some people are gathering. Some fighters are gathering up against UFC. They are gathering up to just. They are gathering up that there's lots of going on. UFC.
Feel like the fighters are starting to wake up, starting to be woke.
Yep, I think. Yep, they are gathering up against some. I think. Yes, some fighters. I think some fighters. They are gathering up against Dynamite. Maybe mainly against Dynamite because he's favoring some fighters. Like he said that he got more money than
I don't know. It sounds like your pit bull fights are getting a little loud in the background.
I've been honest.
That's two dogs.
Mike Vick. No, I'm just kidding. No, but
that's three dogs.
Oh, stray dogs? Oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, man, no, but. Is there anything else you guys want to touch on before we got out of here till tomorrow, though? I mean, I was going to say.
I mean, we could talk. I mean,
I think
we could talk about.
I think they need a union right now.
I think, just
they should go for union.
Yeah, I think that. And is Project Spearhead technically like a union? And whatever happened to the MMAAA, bro? Like. Whenever I saw that shit come out and they had GSP, Cain Velasquez, Cowboy, they had legitimate big names. And I was thinking that's what it's going to take. That's literally what it's going to take. Those Tim Kennedy was on there. There was one other name as well, TJ Dillashaw, I think. Those are 5 big names of the sport. But that shit like fucking fizzled overnight. We seen like 2 interviews and then people started saying, "Hey, Bjorn, where's your fucking motives?" And then like it was just gone.
Yeah, that shit didn't last, man.
Yeah.
That was unfortunate because they had some big names.
The thing is these ones that have been around so long, maybe they would be good, but they've been here too long to get the traction to move forward. So the MMAFA, I'm sorry, I think Project Spearhead is the way to go, and I'll tell you why. That's because Lucas Middlebrook, the attorney that is working on that case, this motherfucker was the one who stuck up for Nick Diaz about that marijuana thing, him getting 5 years for that. He went down there, laid down a good case for him, pretty much won if you watch the thing. The Nevada State Athletic Commission, was a kangaroo court, and they tried to ban him for life, gave him fucking 5 years, 3 years, whatever the hell happened there. And Lucas finally, that's what, this guy works on contracts for all types of other sports. He saw that the UFC fighters had like no protections. There's all types of shit in there that's just completely vague. Like you have to do media. In other sports, it's like it's down to, okay, you got to make 5 appearances, whatever. There's so much shit in there. Like Like, how do you
have
go to
do media?
arbitration?
But when Ronda Rousey decides to do a blackout, it might be a little different, you know. It's like
or you can turn down fights if you're Nate Diaz, but not if you're Yair and this type of shit. And so, you know, fucking, he's like, Jesus, dude, this shit needs to happen here. And so Lucas Middlebrook has been working pro bono on this thing. And so Nick Diaz trusted him. I trust him. And he seems to be doing right by Ally Kenta and Leslie, and those are straight shooting motherfuckers. And I'm with those guys, man. I hate to see the little guy get trampled. That's why I'm all about this. But I think that's all I got for topics today.
All right, well, no, that's actually fucking great input from you, Dan. I'm super glad you joined the call, man. I know sometimes I go over there. One second, Arpit. Sometimes I'll go over to your channel, man, and check out what you got going over there. And, you know, sometimes you call the boys on me. But, man, this was super insightful. Hopefully you come through a little more often, man. This was dope. And especially your input on the Project Spearhead thing, man. You got me over here like, man, I need to fucking look more into Project Spearhead because I was kind of down on it because I'm thinking about MMAAA and some of these other things. And MMAAA wasn't necessarily around for a long time, but I was thinking they got the stars, and the way that just dissolved, it's like kind of hard to have faith in a sort of union when you have Leslie Smith. She's behind this Project Spearhead, Cajun Johnson and Ally Quinta. They're not necessarily the biggest names, and we saw Leslie Smith is already gone. As soon as she brought it up, she's out of the UFC. So it's like, damn, you know. But yeah, I think something's going to have to happen. I don't know when it's going to happen. I don't know how it's going to happen, especially in MMA. But I agree, man. There's some protections that these fighters could use, but until you get some sort of union, I don't know how those are going to come. So I think that's a great topic to end on. But forward thinking, was there another topic you wanted to discuss? I know you were saying one other thing before we got out of here, possibly.
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of forgot what I was talking about. So I've just been reading the chat. It's been just kind of creasing me up. But I don't think I was gonna talk about a super fight that's being rumored between what's their names again? We've got Artem versus Mike Jansen. I don't know what you guys think about it, but I think I could definitely headline UFC 230 still.
Okay. Headline UFC 230. Who?
Are we talking about the GOAT Artem Lobov?
Artem versus Mike Jackson.
Yeah, versus Mike Jackson. Yeah, we're down for that fight. I'm down for that.
I'm down for that. I'm not gonna lie. Fuck what Dana White was talking about. Like, I kind of want to see Mike Jackson back. Like, I was a prisoner of the moment. Like, bro, why are you? Your name is Mike Jackson. Do a moonwalk or something if you're gonna showboat. But after I listened to him on the MMA Hour, I'm like, yo, maybe he's not lying. Like he was looking to his corner for advice. I don't know, man. But I'm not gonna lie. Artem Lobov versus Mike Jackson is the fight to make.
Yo, throw that in on Fight Pass in Russia, and I'm down.
Hey, if it's on Fight Pass, I'm watching it. There's no way I'm not.
UFC Moscow, let's go.
UFC Moscow, Artem versus Mike. Let's go. All right, man. Well, with that being said, probably just shut it down for today. You guys know full-time MMA in the morning every weekday. We'll be back tomorrow. I want to thank Arpit, Forward Thinking, and Dan from Oregon for hopping on the call and dropping some knowledge bombs, and also everyone in the chat for coming through. Leon Doubleson, Stamina MC, just everybody, man. So with that being said, thanks again to the panel. Thanks again to the chat. We'll be back tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern. With that being said, man, it is what it is. Let the full-time family know what you guys think in the comments. We're out of here.